On a hot Memorial Day weekend in Durham, North Carolina, it's the final day of the 2019 ACC baseball tournament. 14 down, 1 to go. The 5-seed North Carolina and the 2-seed Georgia Tech to decide the title, and that is no bull. From iconic Durham Bulls Athletic Park, welcome to the ACC Baseball Championship on ESPN. Well, the Tar Heels advanced to the final with extra inning wins over Virginia and Miami. Then they nailed Boston College in yesterday's semifinals. Georgia Tech has scored 26 runs in 3 games. It took a walk-off to beat Duke, but they blew out NC State in the semifinals. Hi again, everybody. Welcome to Durham alongside former Notre Dame infielder Mike Rooney. I'm Clay Matvick. Glad to have you along here for the ACC title game. Both North Carolina and Georgia Tech are going to be in the field of 64, but there is still a lot at stake here, Rooms.
Yeah, no doubt, Clay. You think about North Carolina, they've played themselves into the hosting conversation. For Georgia Tech, it's been this way for a while. They've had an incredible season. They are on the fringes of being a top 8 national seed.
And there's a lot of bragging rights on the line today. Georgia Tech has a terrific offense, and they've got 2 first-team all-conference players right in the middle of that order.
Yeah, and that really is the signature for Georgia Tech, is a dynamic offense. You start with Tristan English. This is one of the best two-way players in the country, but he has been a star offensively since day one on campus at Georgia Tech. He hit for power, hit for average, a big-time run producer, and then he gives way to Kyle McCann, who has really become one of the great left-handed hitting power hitters in the country. He's catching this year now that Joey Bart's gone, but he has hit a ton of home runs.
And North Carolina has one of the top major league prospects in this conference in Michael Bush. He's had a terrific week. 2 home runs here in Durham.
Yeah, Clay, there's a lot of things we like about Michael Bush. Number one, he's from Minnesota, like someone that may be standing next to me, but also one of the best pure left-handed hitters in the country. Another guy that can do a little bit of everything with the bat. Can hit for average, can hit for power, a big doubles hitter as well, and also a really critical run producer for North Carolina.
Well, the Tar Heels 41-17 on the year. They went 17-13 in the ACC. 3rd in the Coastal Division. Aaron Sabato, one of the terrific freshmen. In fact, ACC Freshman of the Year. One of 2 rookies in the lineup. They won Pool D, beat Virginia and Miami and Boston College yesterday. And they are under the leadership of Mike Fox. Now in his 21st season as head coach. He's been running the ship since 1999, 7 College World Series appearances, including last year.
Yeah, and last year was kind of a return to glory for Mike Fox. You remember 2006 to 2013, they went to 6 Omahas, went 4 straight years, and has really turned North Carolina into a national power in baseball.
He's got a junior laden lineup. In fact, 6 juniors in the starting 9. Talked about that young talent, though. You've got Sabato, the freshman of the year, and another freshman shortstop, Danny Soretti, in the cleanup spot.
Yeah, this is I'd say the best class in the ACC this year is the freshman class. It's a really special group, and UNC's got 2 of them. Really, Sabato is a special hitter, super strong.
Big moment for the freshman from Orlando for Georgia Tech, who's making his 9th start of the season. It's Court Rodig, 6'2", 180 pounds. His first appearance in the ACC tournament.
And I'll tell you, Clay, it's a big arm. You're going to see some velocity today. And it can be a little bit erratic at times, which is basically all freshmen in pitching and in life. But if he can survive the rough patches, this is a really talented kid who get himself into at least the middle part of this game.
This is his 2nd start this year against North Carolina. Took a no decision on April 7th, and we're underway on a steamy Sunday on this Memorial weekend. 90 degrees at game time. It's going to get into the mid-90s before this one is all said and done. Dylan Harris in the box for North Carolina. And it's a ball and a strike to the North Carolina center fielder. JUCO transfer out of Walters State in Tennessee, and umbrellas are necessary today because of all the sunshine. A little hot, but we'll take it. At least no rain.
Yeah, that's right. This is beautiful. It's go time. Favorite time of year, Clay.
North Carolina in the conversation to host with a win today, and many people, Runes, think that they're going to be a lock.
The winner of today's game really cements it. Yep, no doubt.
Fouled off.
North Carolina trying to host, Georgia Tech trying to lock up a top 8 seed.
The 1-2 from Rodig. He misses down. It's an interesting delivery from the freshman.
Yeah, Rodig's got some energy now. There's Carolina's resume. And I would say what they've done in the ACC is a big deal. You know, now you're up to 20 aggregate wins in the league if you include the tournament.
Bounding ball to the second baseman, Austin Wilhite. Flips over to first, and Harris is the first out of the inning.
I would say the challenge for North Carolina's resume, Clay, is there's just not a signature series or moment necessarily. But 20 aggregate wins in the league is a big deal, and winning the ACC tournament title, I think, gives them a little exclamation point that they're looking for.
And Mike Fox hoping to be at home for the national tournament regionals, which they have been the last 2 years. First pitch swinging is Michael Bush, and the first baseman whacks it foul. 6 for 15 in the tournament this week. Talked about the 2 home runs, 4 runs batted in. It has been a big year overall from the junior from Inver Grove Heights, Minnesota.
And he's a first baseman, but he's also played some outfield. Ironically, in the Cape Cod League, he played a little second base. So he's a very athletic left-handed hitter with some diversity to his offensive game.
The 1-1. Strike at the knees, 1-2 to Michael Bush. And Georgia Tech puts the shift on Bush. We have seen a lot of that defensively throughout the ACC tournament from all the teams. Tries to beat the shift. The shortstop normally there. And it's Jackson Webb, the third baseman, who makes the play. 2-0.
Boy, we're getting to a point with all these shifts, Clay, where you almost have to have a bunch of shortstops in your infield because Jackson Webb's playing third. But let's be honest, that's not a play third baseman make. That's a shortstop play.
We saw Miami use it a ton. Wake Forest used it.
Yeah, I think the days of your big, thick third baseman are maybe over because it's hard to shift with that guy.
And now Aaron Sabato, the 7th Tar Heel to win ACC Freshman of the Year in program history, out of Rye Brook, New York.
Love these matchups. 2 good freshmen in the league that are going to be mainstays over the next few years, and Sabato is strong as a bull.
Check this swing. He went.
I'll tell you the other thing you really like about Sabato, Clay, is not only the strength, but it's a center field approach. He really drives the ball into the middle of the field, which helps him stay on breaking ball and helps him take away the outer half of the plate.
Another strike in from Rodig. Well, so far it doesn't appear that the stage is too big for the rookie out of Orlando. Thought he had strike 3. 2-2.
Doesn't appear that Court Rodig missed his coffee this morning either, right? I mean, there's some energy in that deal. He's going to get a false start, right? Like he's going to draw him off sides.
He's got a few Red Bulls. Trying to get him to chase the breaking ball. This is his 2nd start against North Carolina. Pitched well on the 7th of April. 4 1/3 innings. Allowed 4 runs, struck out 3. And put Georgia Tech in a spot to win that game 10-5. That's what Danny Hall is hoping for from his starter today. Popped up, and it's going to get out of play.
That's the beauty of this league, Clay. There's so many good baseball programs. When you're trying to, for lack of a better phrase, break in a freshman,
right,
there's so many opportunities for these kids to come in and grow because, of course, pitching at this level is it's way different. Everybody's a 3-hole hitter.
Sabato checked again. Did he go? No. The first base umpire today is Jeff Gosney. And it's a 2-out walk for Sabato.
I don't know, Clay. Let's see that Sabato sold it well. Hey. I like the bat flip, though. Even if they check with Sabato, he says no swing. I like it. The conviction was an 80 on the 20 to 80 scale.
That was a veteran-type move from the freshman. And now another freshman, Danny Soretti. Left-handed hitter out of Berkeley Heights, New Jersey.
You had me at New Jersey, Clay. And he's got a little personality, too, Soretti. I enjoy watching him play.
He has been very consistent at the plate this year, and he's been good this week in the tournament. 5 for 12 with 5 runs batted in.
And I'll tell you, Clay, North Carolina, they've got 2 future stars in Soretti and Sabato that they're going to build on. I mean, these kids are hitting in the middle of the order already. Soretti's playing short. They have taken on huge roles as freshmen and are thriving in those roles.
Strike on the inside corner, 1-2. You talked about the infield and how Soretti has made the move from second to short. And when that move was made, it really helped settle things down in the infield for Carolina.
Yeah, and moved Ike Freeman to third base, who played shortstop on an Omaha team last year. So that tells you what they think of Soretti's defense.
North Carolina lost 2 of 3 in Atlanta in April. But feeling good about themselves right now, coming out that 13-5 win over Boston College yesterday. Had 13 hits, 5 multi-run innings, trying to strike early here. And that's inside 2-2.
It's my favorite part of this time of year, Clay. Last weekend of the regular season, North Carolina loses a tough series to NC State and they got beat up a little bit in that series. We're kind of out on North Carolina. Now we're right back in on them.
That's up and in, full count. So Sabato walked with 2 outs, and now Danny Soretti works at full. This part of the lineup, 1 through 5 yesterday, went 11 for 22 with 8 runs batted in. North Carolina at the top was terrific yesterday.
That'll work.
Popped up above the infield left side, the third baseman. Webb makes the catch. And Rodig works around some minor trouble in the first. Tech coming up.
The ACC Baseball Championship is brought to you by Sabra. Feel good food. Tecate. Enjoy responsibly. And Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Honoring the veterans here at Durham Bulls Athletic Park. Championship Sunday here at the ACC tournament. And Georgia Tech with a team average of 300. No one hitting under 274 in the starting lineup. And Michael Goldberg will bat second as the DH again today. He had a 3-run blast yesterday, the first of his season. And it was a big one.
Yeah, he's really been more of a hit machine than a power guy. But just overall, the numbers, Clay, this is old school Georgia Tech. Just winning with the offense and overwhelm you with the scoring. I love it. It really kind of getting back to your roots if you're Georgia Tech.
So Connor Olio will have to deal with that starting 9. The freshman from Renfrew, Pennsylvania. It's a small town just north of Pittsburgh. It's his first appearance in the tournament. And just his 5th start of the season. Mike Fox needs a game manager today.
Yeah, and Olio kind of an old soul from a pitching standpoint. It's a 4-pitch mix, 2 breaking balls, but just manage the game. Not as excitable as Rodig, but more slow heartbeat and survive.
So Luke Waddell digs in from the left-hand side. 5 for 11 with a run batted in this week in the ACC tournament. He takes strike 1.
Waddell moved to shortstop a few weeks ago, and that was kind of took Georgia Tech to another level. He's a really good player.
Ground ball, and that's going to get through. Waddell has reached base now in 36 straight games, and he has hit in 11 straight. Good start for Georgia Tech under their head coach Danny Hall. who's in year number 26. You talk about a couple of veteran coaches in this championship game. Fox and Hall.
Danny Hall took over for Jim Morris in '94. They played in the national title game that year, that famous team with Veritek and Nomar and Jay Payton. And boy, it's been a program that's been at the top of college baseball for a long time and looking like they're getting back on top.
Fourth time named ACC Coach of the Year. Trying to move Waddell as Goldberg with the bunt, but it's pushed foul. Here's the home run from yesterday for Michael Goldberg. First home run of the year. Only the third home run of his career, and coincidentally, all three of his career home runs have been three-run shots.
Gotta love it. And again, he's looking to go middle of the field, right center field. That's why the home runs are few and far in between for him.
Yeah.
But that was a fastball middle in. They were going to pressure him in and turn and burn.
Yeah, there's 74 hits this year. 64 have been singles. So that was a bit of an aberration. Got Waddell away from first. Ground ball. Maybe too slow to get two. It will be. They'll get the force at first with Goldberg being out. Waddell moves up on the play. And I'll bring up McCann. Defensively, North Carolina has cleaned things up. Just 3 errors in the tournament.
For some reason, Freeman just checked out on second base. And I think Ashton McGee wanted the baseball right there. It's just so important, Clay, because you keep a runner out of scoring position for McCann and English, who are both guys that could hit into a double play.
Big Kyle McCann, Georgia Tech catcher. And skips in the dirt, blocked by Martirano, but got far enough away where the runner is able to advance. So Waddell is now at third for McCann, who is top 25 nationally in 6 offensive categories, including runs batted in. He has 66 of those on the year.
I mean, for Olio right now, you're hoping you get out of this inning with 1 run surrendered. I don't know that you're getting out of here with a 0 with English and McCann coming up.
Martirano having a hard time behind home plate. That actually hit McCann. He's going to get first. So Olio hits McCann, and there are now runners at the corners, 1 out for maybe the most dangerous hitter right now in the lineup for the Yellow Jackets.
This is interesting, Clay. Watch McCann just stay there and wear that. So ordinarily, if you're a power hitter with 23 home runs, you know what you're going to do? You're going to jump out of the way and try and get your swing off the next pitch. But there's a different vibe about this Georgia Tech team. That's McCann trusting the guy behind him.
Tristan English is the guy behind him. And he jumps on the first pitch and whacks it back behind home plate.
This is a really good duo for Georgia Tech. McCann is scary because of the sheer strength and power. And English is he's just a dynamic right-handed hitter. There's a lot of athleticism in his swing.
Junior from Williamson, Georgia. 4 for 14 with 2 homers here in the tournament. Popped up, and that's going to get out of play. He hit for the cycle against North Carolina back in April. And in that 3-game series, he was a one-man wrecking crew against the Tar Heels. 7 hits, 2 home runs, 7 runs batted in. In fact, he won National Player of the Week for that series against North Carolina. Martirano is earning his varsity letter here in this first inning behind home plate.
Sure is.
Now Waddell at third, McCann at first for Georgia Tech, 1 out here in the first inning. This one decides the ACC championship. Georgia Tech seeking its 10th ACC tournament title. That would tie Clemson for the most in league history. Georgia Tech has been very hot, Runs.
Yeah, and I mean, really, we were talking about them for a top 8 seed, and they're just going out and taking it.
11-2 in the month of May coming into the day. That's sat outside, so it's 2-2.
there's no place to catch your breath in this Georgia Tech lineup, but this top of the deal is really exhausting for a pitcher. Colio trying to settle in, and there's not a lot of places to catch your breath here.
Fly ball, right field line coming over. Tesser, he's going to watch it sail out of play. The offensive numbers for Georgia Tech have been impressive. The batting average 300, best in the ACC. The slugging percentage is good. They have had 4 homers in the ACC tournament this week, most of any team here. English flicks it foul.
See, this is what great hitters do, Clay. You get a breaking ball and you're undecided, you just spoil it. Just foul it off. I think that's one of the most underrated skills of great hitters is don't leave it in the umpire's hands. If you can get to it, foul it off, do it, get yourself to the next pitch. That's beautiful.
Olio comes set. Would love a ground ball here to turn a double play. Got the bounder, but it's foul. Georgia Tech consistently good all year. They've won 9 of their 10 ACC series. They only lost in Miami opening weekend, 2-1.
Well, the other series they lost was UCLA. I mean, come on, they've had a near perfect season.
6th pitch of the at bat. Breaking ball hit to third. Freeman goes to second for 1. North Carolina gets out of the inning. Connor Olio got the ground ball he was seeking. And it's a 5-4-3 twin killing to end the first.
Boy, you're going to have to play this kind of defense to hold Georgia Tech down. 5-4-3. Get yourself in the dugout. Here you go, North Carolina.
Court Rodig walked Aaron Sabato in the first inning, but was able to get a ground ball of Danny Soretti to get out of the inning in the first. It's an interesting mechanical makeup for the freshman from Orlando.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if he's playing Twister on the mound or CrossFit or what, but I mean, it's high energy, Clay. He's just not throwing a bullpen session out there. It's high energy. I'm digging it. I like it a lot.
He's been in the weekend rotation the last 3 weeks because of injuries. Their Friday night starter, Xavion Curry, been dealing with a shoulder injury. And sophomore lefty Brant Herter out for the year. He's having Tommy John surgery. So it really is amazing that Georgia Tech is in this position, giving the injuries they've had to deal with to their starting rotation.
No doubt. And you lose Andy Archer, you lose Herter, who you mentioned. Curry's been down. I'll tell you where this is going to get interesting for Tech in a good way is they probably, when Curry's back available, which we think he is, he can go into the bullpen, and he has been dynamic when he's been a bullpen piece. Just the stuff really plays up in that regard.
Ike Freeman leading it off for North Carolina, the junior from Rockwell. 6 for 9 with 5 runs batted in here in the tournament. 3 for 4 with a couple of ribbies yesterday. And Rodig now falling behind here 3-0. Here's a closer look at this windup.
It's almost like a defensive end faking the blitz, Clay. I mean, it's really, look at that. That's awesome.
Buries a strike to make it 3-1.
I love it. I'm not a pitching coach, but if I was, I would leave that alone. I mean, that's his personality and style. It obviously pitches with a lot of energy. And it's all athletic positions, right? It's not like he's doing anything that's not athletic.
Called strike in the outside corner. Freeman going to have to go get his bat back. And he apologizes to home plate umpire Perry Costello for tossing the bat away.
And this is a beautiful pitch. I mean, that is the very bottom outside corner of the strike zone. McCann, who's known more for his offense and defense, he does a nice job presenting that pitch.
The payoff. Hit in the air to center. That's where Nick Wilhite, the very speedy outfielder, ranges over to his left to make the catch. Freeman is out, and that brings up Ashton McGee. McGee, a junior from Pikeville, North Carolina. Had a great freshman year. In fact, was the league freshman of the year. Had her sophomore slump last year. It's been a bit up and down this season. 265, 4 homers, and 33 runs batted in for McGee, who's at second base again today.
He's played all over the field. He's played some outfield. He's DH for North Carolina. Was their 3-hole hitter as a true freshman. He has played a lot of baseball for North Carolina. Little stare down there. I like it.
The 0-2 from Rodig.
It's a little, if you're a hitter, it's all about rhythm and comfort. And you're looking out at Rodig like, dude, what are you doing? Like, are you gonna throw the ball at me, or are you gonna like come tackle me? What's going on out there?
Because we're in Durham, makes you think of Nuke
Yes, great call.
Lelouch?
Yeah, Lelouch. Meat, I believe is what.
Yes.
He had a Porsche.
And there's the famous bull.
That's awesome.
Hit the bull, win a steak. Hit the grass, you win a salad.
Yeah.
Swung on and missed, and Rodig showing a little emotion, skipping off the mound. Has his first strikeout, 2 down. Well, tonight at 7 Eastern on ESPN, Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. We're going to be in St. Louis for the Braves and Cardinals series finale. Coverage begins at 6 on both ESPN and the ESPN app. Baseball tonight. Sunday night countdown starts us off. That series even at a game apiece. 2 outs, and that brings up Martirano. Brandon Martirano has started every game behind the plate but one this year for North Carolina. Junior from New Jersey. He's from Marlboro.
South Jersey.
How far is that from your hometown?
Not far at all. And now Martirano is just, I love the way he plays. He's a lot of life. He's very verbal with the pitchers. Just your kind of vintage college catcher. Definitely has that leadership tool. Almost certainly an Eagles fan too, Clay. So, I mean, you got to round up your grading on that.
Yeah.
Thanks for confirming that. Go Eagles, as we like to say.
Full count to Martirano. He's got a big elbow guard on that left arm.
And the shin guard. The thing is, Clay, you got to protect yourself if you're going to catch every inning.
He was hit in the same spot twice in 6 days. About a week and a half ago, and first time it required a trip to the hospital. And he got hit again on the same spot.
Nope.
So he just decided to start wearing that elbow guard.
Bueno. He is really important to North Carolina. So, I mean, if he has to wear the full catcher's gear up to hit there, I mean,
yeah,
they have to have him in the game.
3-2. The foul ball, and that got a piece of McCann. McCann is going to be a pretty high draft pick this year.
Yeah. Good news is being a catcher helps your draft stock. The bad news is that.
Oof.
Foul balls off of your face.
Not a bad defensive catcher, but he's going to get to the big leagues because of his bat.
It is tremendous left-handed power.
Again, the 3-2 breaking ball popped up. Calling for it, Tristan English in foul ground. The first baseman has it. And in Durham, North Carolina, We go to the bottom of the second, where sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and it's not going to rain today. The NCAA selection show is tomorrow, noon Eastern. These are some of the teams that are sweating right now.
Oh my gosh, it's so tough to pull apart these resumes. And one jumps out. Here's something jumps out for me, Clay. UCF and Houston, both American teams. If you combine their league record and their conference tournament, they're under 500 in those aggregate records. And I look at Irvine, won 13 out of 15 weekend series. Only 5 teams nationally won 13 different weekend series. So, you know, the committee's got a tough decision to make there. UCF and Houston have a little stronger strength of schedule, maybe a lot stronger, but that's a tough call right there.
Barron Radcliffe, Colin Hall, Austin Wilhite, 5, 6, and 7 here in the second inning for Georgia Tech in the ACC title game. Radcliffe, a sophomore out of Peachtree Corners, Georgia, hitting .278. Great power. And he's hit 3 for 12 this week with a 2-run double yesterday. Tries to go opposite field, and it's fouled. A lot of bubble impact games today, Mike, in the national tournament.
Yeah, this is
picture.
Look at the Americans. UConn is in. Cincinnati wins that game. There goes a spot. Ohio State and Minnesota have a chance to steal a spot if they knock off Nebraska. Nebraska's really safely in right now. Florida Atlantic's safely in, but Southern Miss will steal a spot if they upset them today. Liberty, I think, is in, but Stetson wins that game. There goes another spot.
Swung on and missed. It's a strikeout, and the first for Olio. 1 down.
And then, you know, the Big 12 has one of those tournaments that's really, it's a long grind. And TCU, who's very talented but has had a difficult year, they play Oklahoma State for the right to play West Virginia. If TCU's to win both of those games, there goes another spot off the bubble.
It seems like TCU's getting healthier finally, especially in the pitching. And it seems to have helped them here, certainly the last few weeks, and now this week in Oklahoma City.
Biggest development for them this week, Jared Janczek threw a gem. And he's been kind of the lost man for them. Obviously a star pitcher on their Omaha teams. Had thoracic outlet surgery and just couldn't find it, but had a beautiful start in this tournament. And yeah, TCU's a team. They have some high-end talent. There's no question.
Colin Hall, sophomore, the son of head coach Danny Hall, having a nice tournament. 5 for 11, 3 doubles this week. Checked his swing. Did he go? Yes, he did, and he's out. Martirano tags him. Back-to-back strikeouts for Connor Olio here in the second. And you see Danny Hall arguing. And Perry Costell's not going to stand for much of that, I wouldn't think. Can't argue balls and strikes.
Yeah, Danny Hall in the third base dugout. No one's got a better look at it than him.
And 2 outs for Wilhite. First of the 2 Wilhite brothers in the lineup. Austin, the older of the twins. We can still hear Danny Hall yelling from the Georgia Tech dugout.
And I think he's mad that Perry Costello did it himself and didn't check, didn't ask for help on that one, Clay. And it's hard to blame him on that.
Wilhite tried to hold up, but he went around. Well, you really got to hand it to Connor Olio.
We got 2 freshmen that are settling into the big stage here.
No
I like
doubt.
it.
Olio coming into the day averaging more than a strikeout per inning. Try to get him to chase on the bender outside and in the dirt.
Isn't it fascinating how different these freshmen are? Olio, you almost don't even notice him. He's just chucking it in there like a machine. And Rodig, how do you not miss him?
The 2-2. Struck him out, and he strikes out the side. Olio, who just turned 19 years old 2 weeks ago, has a 13-pitch inning. Scoreless after 2 in Durham. Last year, the ACC sent 6 teams into the NCAA field, and of course, Carolina made the College World Series. It's going to be interesting to see how many teams make it this year. Jackson Hesterly, Dallas Tesser, Dylan Harris, 8-9-1 for the Tar Heels here in the third. Scoreless game in the ACC title contest. How many teams do you project get in? This is what D1 Baseball says.
Yeah, that feels
got
like
8.
That feels like the number. I mean, Wake Forest is hanging around and could be in the discussion. I mean, Georgia Tech, Louisville had the best regular season record, but I really do. I agree with that. I think Georgia Tech has passed Louisville's resume at this point.
Louisville went 0-2 here in Durham this week. They were the #1 seed, the Atlantic Division champs, but they were upset by BC and Clemson. Did it cost them a top 8?
It could. Now, because you've got Stanford kind of lurking out there. I mean, you've got some other teams that are very... I think, Clay, the single toughest decision this committee is going to have is who are your top 8 seeds. It is really a fine line.
Swung on and missed. And that is the second strikeout for Rodig. 1 down here in the third. And the top 8 national seed bubble. You see Louisville, you see Georgia Tech. Certainly a win today for the Yellow Jackets would lock things up.
Yeah, and those teams in my mind are competing for the final 3 spots, 6, 7, and 8. Louisville, again, you had the best regular season in a prestigious league. Louisville played, the metrics would tell you, the hardest ACC schedule. Georgia Tech, though, it just, from front to back, their resume is really strong. They're 4-1 versus SEC teams as well, Georgia Tech. 2 wins against Georgia, 2 wins against Auburn. They played UCLA and got a win.
Got a win against the Bruins.
I mean, Georgia Tech's played a hellacious schedule.
There's pitch number 50 from Rodig already. Tesser takes it for a strike, 0-2. There you see Georgia Tech, 12 wins against the RPI, top 25, 4th most in Division I. They got their 12th win against the RPI top 25 yesterday.
Here's the thing, though, Clay. You think about, like, East Carolina's had an almost perfect season. A ton of road wins. They went on the road to play UCLA. Now, they did get swept. They dominated the American, which is a very good baseball league. I think about Stanford. That's the one I'm struggling with. Stanford lost 1 weekend series this year, just 1, and it was to UCLA. And Stanford's the #3 team in almost every poll. Again, the committee is going to have a really tough time getting through those teams.
That's a called strike 3. Back-to-back Ks for Rodig. That is the first strikeout looking that he's recorded today. And we're back to the top of the order in Harris.
Now the baseball really just explodes out of his hand. He has painted that down and away corner right there.
The thing that bothers me about East Carolina is how they finished here. It was not a stellar American Conference tournament. They lost twice to Wichita, but their RPI is still very good.
Yeah, and it's a very good team. One thing for East Carolina is I think they passed the eye test. It's an older team. They've got star power when you think about Spencer Brickhouse and Bryant Packard. They're 2 elite hitters. They don't have a ton of pitching, but they have enough.
Fly ball should end the inning. Will Height now kind of lost it in the sun, but is able to recover. 3 up, 3 down for Rodig. We played 2.5, no score.
Everything is suddenly amazing here. Sit back, man. Relax, man. Sit back, man. Come on, man.
Clay Matvick and the great Mike Rooney back here in Durham for the 46th ACC tournament. And we're at Durham Bulls Athletic Park. 10th time hosting the ACC tournament. 12th time the city of Durham is hosting this event. The home of the Durham Bulls, champs of the International League the last couple of years. Great ballpark. It's a ground ball foul off the bat of Jackson Webb. 8-9-1 for Georgia Tech here in the third. Jackson Webb having a breakout junior year. He's from Roswell, Georgia. Transfer from UCF. but this is actually his second stint at Georgia Tech. Started his career at Georgia Tech, then went off to JC for a while. On his way to UCF in Orlando, and now he's back in Atlanta.
Well traveled.
Yeah. One for 10 with a double this week here in Durham. Connor Olio has settled into a rhythm, but that's broken up. And breaking pitch hit into right field for a base hit. And that is the second hit for the Yellow Jackets here today. Leadoff man is on. Monday on ESPN, our annual Memorial Day triple header for you. It starts at 1 Eastern with the Marlins and the Nationals, followed by the Indians and Red Sox. Finally, it's the Mets and Dodgers at 8 Eastern. That should be a good pitching matchup. DeGrom and Kershaw. All 3 games live on ESPN and the ESPN app. Thanks to all the vets. I'm so grateful to all who serve and all the families who have lost a service member over the years. Close play over at first, but Webb is back. Interesting to see here, Runes, how Olio responds now after Webb got one of the best hit balls of the day into right field.
Yeah, breaking ball up, and you can see North Carolina plays these extreme shifts. Here's what's interesting to me, Clay, on this. I mean, you've got Ashton McGee all the way in the 4-3 hole. So if there is a ground ball hit to Freeman at third base, he's going to have to turn to Cerretti at shortstop. And that is a very awkward play. Cerretti's going to have to hustle and get himself to the first base side of second base. It puts a lot on the shortstop. And, of course, Cerretti's a great athlete, but that's tricky.
Webb 11 for 13 in stolen base attempts this year, and that is not lost on the freshman Olio. He's keeping close tabs on the base runner. Florida State has won the last 2 ACC tournaments. Not only is Florida State not in this year's title game, but the Seminoles are on the NCAA tournament bubble.
Bubblicious, they sure are. But that win over NC State, that really helps. I thought the biggest part of Florida State's resume was that they were 17 and 13 in the league, but an RPI of 49, not great. But with going 1-1 in this tournament, they're 18 and 14 in the ACC. I think that is fairly safe for them.
Breaking ball off Olio. He finds him, and he'll go to first for the out. Nick Wilhite drives it off the leg of the starting pitcher. And we'll see if he's going to be okay and can continue. It certainly looks that way. Over to second is Jackson Webb, 1 down, and back to Waddell in the top of the order.
Something to think about, Clay, for Olio is I think physically he's fine, but that's back-to-back hitters that have blistered his breaking ball. And so it's just he's leaving it up right now, and you wonder if he'll start to back off that pitch a little bit because it is not tricking Georgia Tech, and now you're getting second time through the order where hitters have already seen you.
And Hanson Butler, a senior right-hander, who was actually the winning pitcher yesterday for North Carolina. He's been great out of the pen for the Heels here in the ACC tournament. He's getting loose down the right field line. There's Jackson Webb in scoring position for Georgia Tech. Scoreless here in the third. And now we're going to get a walk to the mound from Mike Fox.
There's two things at play here, Clay. Number one is we're deep into a conference tournament with regionals on the horizon, so you're not going to see guys out there for long stints. But I think the other thing is we got 2 freshman starters in there, and typically with freshmen, when things go sideways, it happens really fast.
Yeah.
And so you want to slow that down as much as you can. Looks like they're taking him out. I see a lot of patting on the back.
Butler hasn't made a move toward the mound yet. And there it comes, the call to the bullpen. So we're going to step aside. Pitching change here in Durham. Hanson Butler to the mound. Back in a moment.
The freshman Connor Olio gets this huge double play ball to get himself out of a tricky first inning. It wasn't a great start, but then the second inning, it was just dominance and really found depth in that breaking ball. Struck out the side in the second inning. And ironically, that breaking ball is what's got him into trouble here in the third inning. And, you know, I would say, Clay, it's for a game like this, that's a solid start.
I was going to ask you that because you said he just needed to manage the game.
And it's intact.
Well, he gives way now to a veteran. Hanson Butler, the senior, has been used a ton this year out of the Tar Heels bullpen. Senior from High Point, North Carolina. In 2 appearances here in the ACC tournament, he's gone 2 1/3 innings of perfect relief.
Fifth-year senior. Need to see Butler back. He's had big roles in his career and big moments. He's disappeared at times, and now in his fifth and final season at North Carolina has really become a key part of this bullpen.
He'll face Luke Waddell, who led off the game with a single against Olio. First pitch is up and out. The Carolina bullpen, it's been very good. Not only Butler, but everybody. 18 1/3. Given up just 5 runs. They've struck out 19 and only walked 3. To me, that's the key to postseason success.
I agree, Clay, because it's in these types of games, regionals, super regionals, there's so much pressure. If you're not locked down at the end of a game, it can be so hard to get those final 9 or 6 or 3 outs. If you've got a bunch of question marks in that area headed into the postseason, boy, that is not a great formula.
Luke Waddell with an 11-game hitting streak after his leadoff single in the first. Takes down 2 balls and a strike. Waddell has not only been hitting well, especially with runners in scoring position, as you can see, but playing very well in the field. One of 9 semifinalists for the Brooks Wallace Award as the nation's top shortstop. Runner goes. Here comes the throw. It's in the dirt, and it skips off the glove of Freeman. So Webb is safe. Stolen base for Jackson Webb, his 12th of the year.
Boy, it's a big risk by Webb, and he just got that running lead where he had so much momentum it was impossible for Martirano to throw him out. But think about it, Clay, you're doing that with a left-handed hitter up. If Martirano makes a good throw, and with Waddell, Goldberg, McCann, and English coming up, I mean, we call that the you better be safe play.
That's the speed that Connor Olio was worried about when he was still on the mound. And Webb was at first. He threw over there about 3 or 4 times. Snap throw down, and this is going to get away. Into the Georgia Tech bullpen. Webb scores as Martirano is wishing he had that one back. 1-0 Tech.
You know, you wonder if part of that's Martirano thinking, man, I should have thrown him out stealing, and just gets a little aggressive here. Webb does exactly the right thing. As the runner, you want to return in fair territory, create a very tough throwing angle. Good base running by Jackson Webb right there. I love the aggressiveness too. Maybe not textbook, but Georgia Tech has a very aggressive vibe to them this year.
The 3-2 to Waddell. Spoils that one from Butler. That hit the base runner. I mean, the throw was not as wild as it appeared. It got a piece of Webb, and that's why it deflected off into the bullpen.
Yeah, and Webb made the good base running play. You take your lead in foul territory. Martirano's thinking, I made a good throw. You got beat by a good base running play.
So it's an error on the catcher and an unearned run charged to Olio. Down and in, walked him. So things haven't gone exactly stellar here with Butler on the mound for North Carolina. And Goldberg comes up. Michael Goldberg hardly played last year because of a shoulder injury. He's been a key man this year. He enjoys fishing and hunting. His dad, Bob, is a professor of biomedical engineering at Tech. And his mom, Tina, an engineer at Tech.
Oh, gosh.
Isn't that part of their fight song, Son of an Engineer?
I'm intimidated by their whole family right now. That is some smart folks.
No doubt. Breaking ball to Goldberg. Misses. He grounded out to third his first time up. He's 0 for 1.
The answer to every question in the Goldberg house is figured out, man. That's awesome. He has had an awesome year. Just a hit collector this year, 370.
He's got 25 multi-hit games. So Waddell at first. He's got a single and a walk today. Georgia Tech with a run here in the third. They lead at 1-0. And Georgia Tech with the best RPI in the ACC coming into the day. It's at 7. And already in pretty good position to be a top 8 national seed, but a win today likely cinches it.
I would say, Clay, a win today certainly cinches it. I think they could be a top 8 even without a win today, but you want to put the exclamation point on there. The one thing about Georgia Tech that I wonder if they pass the eye test with the committee on the mound. Their offense is undeniable, but you might look at their pitching and how many injuries they've had and say, I wonder how they're going to pitch in the postseason. But, boy, this, in spite of that, they have won a ton of games.
You just saw Kurt Rodig staying loose in the Georgia Tech bullpen as this inning wears on. You don't always see that from the starter.
No, you know who used to do that as a college baseball pitcher? UCLA, Trevor Bauer.
Yeah.
Used to pitch on the mound and then
Worked
go
for him.
Yeah, still working for him.
Now, Rodig certainly has some individualism. We've seen that already today.
I would tell you, too, I just, again, Georgia Tech's known as an offensive team, but think about what Jackson Webb did there, Clay. He stole third base with the top of the order up, a ferocious top of the order, with a left-handed hitter up who gives the catcher a clear throw. But it was a relief pitcher that was in, and those guys can be very susceptible to stealing third base. So I like that Georgia Tech, it's not just kind of a sit back and wait for it offense. They're getting after it. It's up-tempo.
Breaking ball back up the middle. Well played by the second baseman. McGee steps on the bag for 1, and they get the double play. Boy, that is the second time that North Carolina has benefited from a 1-out ground ball. But Georgia Tech gets the lead, and when we come back, we're going to talk to the Tech bench boss, Danny Hall. Back in Durham, and we move to the 4th inning in the ACC championship game between North Carolina and Georgia Tech, and Danny Hall's team scratching out a run in the third. The ACC Coach of the Year joins us now.
So, Danny, the offense is the calling card of this team, but to me, there's a very aggressive vibe to your club, and even Jackson Webb stealing third right there, right in the face of Martirano. From your perspective, what is the signature of this team?
Well, just trying to put pressure on people any way we can, whether it's Jackson Webb trying to get a 90 there with the stolen base, or whether it's the guys in the middle of the order trying to hit home runs. We just want to put pressure on the opposition all the time.
Court Rodig, Coach, your freshman has been in the weekend rotation the last few weeks because of injuries. What have you seen from him today?
He's throwing a lot more strikes than he has last couple times, so we hope that continues. He's got good stuff and has been able to throw his breaking ball for a strike, so just hope that continues for a little while.
And Danny, final thing, just this has been a real kind of comeback season for you guys. What's been the attitude of these kids to really, you guys have put it on some teams this year.
Just a lot of grit, very competitive, kind of up and down our lineup, had contributions on the mound from a lot of people, and have really had to get that late just because of all of our injuries to our number 1 and our number 3. But more than anything, they love to compete and play for each other.
All right, Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
There goes Danny Hall. And grit has kind of been the theme for Georgia Tech this year.
Yeah, I mean, I would say almost a return to glory. You know, this has been one of the great programs nationally over the last 25 years. And, you know, they missed the tournament a couple years in a row. And this team just seems to be kind of, they're not going to be denied. They're going to just go out and take it.
Michael Bush leading it off for North Carolina, down a run now here in the ACC title game. And Georgia Tech picked to finish in the middle of the pack in the ACC. Yet they could be the ACC champs today. 6 all-ACC players and a top 8 might be in the offing as well. We talked about it. A pretty good resume.
Yeah, I mean, and offensively, they certainly passed the eye test. And, you know, just that one number jumps out at me, Clay. 31 NCAA tournament appearances. And
yeah,
it's really great to see Georgia Tech and having a tremendous year like this.
The Yellow Jackets haven't made an NCAA tournament since 2016. They lost to Florida that year in the Gainesville Regional. And they haven't been to a Super Regional since '06. And that was their last College World Series appearance. Who knows? Maybe a trip to Omaha in the offing for Tech. Rodig looking at a 3-1 to Bush. Clubbed in the air. Austin Wilhite, the second baseman. And it worked out pretty good. He's positioned there on the shift. Catches the pop-up, 1 down, and Bush is 0 for 2. And now Aaron Sabato.
Well, this, you know, I think a concern for North Carolina, Clay, is defensively. There's been some rough patches, but one thing that's not a concern is the middle of this order. You start looking at Bush and Sabato. These are star players.
Aaron Sabato checked his swing and walked in the first inning. Cord Rodig thought he had strike 3. Checked his swing again, this time the appeal. Jeff Gosney says he did not go. The last freshman to lead the team in batting average, Colin Moran at North Carolina. That was in 2011.
He had Colin Moran has been a guy that just trying to establish himself as a big leaguer, but as a college player, boy, it was go from day one. What a tremendous career he had at North Carolina.
They've had some great freshmen in Chapel Hill over the years, including this guy. Sabato hitting .332 right now. And he walks again, so he's been on twice via the free pass. And here comes the other freshman, Danny Soretti. And here's the guy that could finish number 2 on the team in batting average. Also a rookie. Just under 300 at 296.
Boy, in the ACC traditionally is a league that is not very kind to freshmen. But that's when you know you've got a star player on your hands, when you got first-year players that put it up like this.
And now calling time is Kyle McCann, as Rodig has lost his control a bit.
Now, I like this trip for McCann because you can tell Rodig is a fairly high-strung kid from just those mechanics, and so just trying to slow him down, and Tristan English getting after him.
Danny Soretti has had an excellent first season at North Carolina. 2 5-hit games highlight his resume. One against Gardner-Webb back in March, and a 5-hit game against Georgia Tech on April 6th. The first Carolina player since Dustin Ackley in 2009 to have multiple 5-hit games in the same season. Another great name from the Carolina past.
Boy, yeah, I mean, that's a college baseball Hall of Famer right there, Dustin Ackley.
Hit hard, could be 2. Wilhite to Waddell to English, and Georgia Tech turns its first double play. It's not exactly what Mike Fox wanted to see. We'll get his comments next. Clay Matvick, Mike Rooney back here in Durham, North Carolina. We move to the bottom of the fourth, and the 2-seed Georgia Tech leading the 5-seed North Carolina here in the ACC title game 1-0. We were going to chat with Mike Fox, the head coach of Carolina, but he was pretty heated after that last half inning, Mike, and he's otherwise preoccupied.
Yeah, and I would say it seemed to be frustrated with the strike zone, and I could imagine that, Clay, where you got a day where you're going to have to really be economical with pitching, and the strike zone is going to be tricky.
Hey, thanks for joining us, Coach. I know you've been kind of busy there the last 90 seconds or so, but what's on your mind?
What's on my mind? Just enjoying the atmosphere.
I like it.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done.
Come on, you can't bait me like that.
No way. That's right. Coach, you got 2 freshmen in the middle of your order. What are those kids meant to your lineup this year?
I mean, yeah, it's not too many times you have that, especially in this league. They've all, both of those guys, Aaron and Danny, have been really good players for us. And gotten us to this point so far, along with our veterans.
Coach, we're going to let you to get back to work so we can get play underway.
All right, y'all stay cool.
Yeah, you too.
We'll do.
Yeah, it's 93 degrees down in the field, so I can imagine these guys are hot. And this is moments ago for Mike Fox. He was disappointed with some of the umpiring.
Yeah. And I think he's frustrated about the strike zone.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate him coming over to at least have a quick chat with us. Wasn't as in-depth as we had hoped, but
very impressive to flip the switch like that.
No question. He had a big smile on his face.
Yeah, very pro move. I like it.
And after all, there's an ACC title at stake here. We do appreciate the access, though, that the coaches do give us. And you're going to get that kind of access throughout the entire NCAA tournament, which starts this coming weekend. The Super Regionals to follow, and, of course, in Omaha. And we always appreciate the coaches giving us a few minutes. Sometimes it's less while the game's being played.
Absolutely.
Line drive right into the glove of Ashton McGee. Well, that's why defensively you are seeing more and more teams implement the shift.
Yeah, you better be standing in the right spot when a ball's hit this hard. I mean, McCann just blisters this breaking ball hanging up there, and McGee basically just gets to react and catch it.
We saw McCann hit a ball to right field off that SunTrust building a couple of days ago. Went over 400 feet. I mean, the exit velocity off his bat is terrific.
Boy, he is one strong left-handed hitter.
And Tristan English is not too shabby either from the right-hand side.
It's that time of year, though, you're kind of wondering, why was Mike Fox so upset in a 1-0 game? Nothing's really happened. But we're at a time of year, Clay, where pitch count really matters. You only have so many arms you can go to, and anything that causes you to have to extend a pitch count can really change a game.
Tristan English grounded into a 5-4-3 double play to end the first. But he has been amazing here in Durham this week. A two-way star. He's been good at the plate and on the mound. Chased that one out of the zone. Strikeout. That's the first strikeout for Hanson Butler since coming out of the pen. Our next 30 for 30 is titled Qualified. It tells the story of Janet Guthrie, the first woman to qualify for the Indianapolis 500 and the Daytona 500. What she accomplished in the mid-70s in American motorsports stands as a testament of her determination and skill. Qualified premieres Tuesday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN. 2 outs for Radcliffe. Ike Freeman throws across the diamond. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Butler. We have played 4. Georgia Tech leads it 1-0. North Carolina and Georgia Tech in the ACC title game, going head-to-head for the first time since 1988. And Georgia Tech won it that year. They've got a 1-0 lead as we go to the 5th. Both of these teams are going to be in the NCAA tournament. And right now you have Georgia Tech, Rooney, is a top 8 national seed, and North Carolina hosting next weekend.
Yeah, but you could say they're both at the back end of those tiers, you know, so it's like you don't want to leave anything to chance, right? You know, it's North Carolina kind of snuck up into the hosting conversation this week with a good performance, and Georgia Tech, I feel really good about. I'm more concerned about Louisville as a top 8 seed than Georgia Tech, quite honestly, because you look at 9, 10, and 11. You've got Stanford had an incredible year, East Carolina as well. Hey, Oklahoma State could win the Big 12 championship today,
right,
and they might sneak in there. So it is really touch and go. I have tremendous respect for the work the committee does, and I think they have done a tremendous job the last few years. But boy, the college baseball is not making it any easier on them.
You touched on this earlier, but in case people are joining us now, North Carolina, even if they lose today, do you see them at home next weekend?
Oh gosh, there are some really good options outside of them. That's the problem. I mean, NC State could sneak back in there. You know, what about Ole Miss, Texas A&M?
Mike Freeman leading off here for North Carolina, turns away from a curveball, 1-0.
It is the margins between these resumes are just razor thin.
2-0. Court Rodig now into the 5th inning. Freshman has been very good on the mound.
And you know, he's a high energy guy, Clay, and you just wonder with the heat and the energy he expends just in his normal delivery, you wonder how deep in this game he could potentially get.
Three balls and no strikes to Freeman, with McGee and Martirano scheduled to hit as well here in the 5th. North Carolina's had some base runners, no hits yet. And they got another base runner here with a leadoff walk by Freeman. Saw Texas A&M at the back end there as you look at the Yellow Jackets bullpen, and Bartnicki starting to warm up left-handed. Texas A&M, they're number 16 right now on your list, one of your sleeper teams.
Yeah, Ole Miss, it just tournament pedigree. Remember, they were upset in a home regional last year. I really like that team. Santa Barbara is a very veteran West Coast team. That West Coast style always plays well in the postseason. That's a team I really like. And then Baylor, it's one of the more dynamic position player groups in the country. Shea Langoliers, Davis Wenzel are all-American caliber players.
And how about the Aggies?
Yeah, the Texas A&M, the thing is, you've got a star in Braden Shoemake, their shortstop, and you look at that rotation, John Doxakis and Asa Lacy, who could be a first-round pick next year. I mean, Texas A&M is really difficult to score on, and there's a lot to like there. If the offense for A&M gets going, they're a viable club.
Now Bartnicki continues to warm up in the Georgia Tech bullpen, but they're going to stay with Rodig. Alongside Mike Rooney, I'm Clay Matvick. Tomorrow's the big day, and I know you're getting excited.
Yeah, it's Christmas Eve, Clay. I mean, there's no sleep tonight. It's exciting. It's so exciting. The committee's working hard on that field right now, and it's just an awesome time of year. You got to love it.
Now Rodig dealing with some control issues now.
Yeah, and that's really kind of, Danny Hall alluded to it, that's kind of been him. And you just wonder, the high energy delivery, does that contribute to losing the strike zone, losing your mechanics?
McGee comes back up the box and into center field, base hit. First hit for North Carolina. It comes here in the 5th inning off the bat of Ashton McGee. His second hit of the tournament. And North Carolina has 2 on, nobody out.
Yeah, McGee this is center cut, and he gets on this baseball right here. Beautiful piece of hitting, works above it and middle of the field. I think the key, the concern for Rodig right now, Clay, you've got to walk in back-to-back innings. That ball is an absolute missile. And the challenge in a game like this, when you're at the end of a conference tournament, is there's just only so many options available.
One of them is a power freshman lefty working in the bullpen right now, Luke Bartnicki. Martirano shows bunt. Strike 1. 74 pitches now for Rodig. Martirano 0 for 1.
I don't know if I like bunt here. English is coming hard, and he's so athletic with a big arm. He's getting that out at third base, I think.
Now 0-2. So you'd think that would take the bunt off if it was on.
No, and I can see what Mike Fox is thinking. Martirano's a catcher, and so he's got double play written all over him, which kills all the momentum and bails Rodig out. And you can see Martirano, you want to get that bat onto the field. Bat kind of laid back into the strike zone and created the foul ball.
There's Mike Fox. His third base coach is Scott Forbes. Martirano showing bunt, but pulls the bat back. He's swinging away. 1-2.
And Rodig is so, you know, there's so much athleticism to his delivery. I think he would be a hard guy to steal third on. He's very unusual, hard for a runner to get a good look. Freeman's not a burner at second base either.
Now 2-2. Kyle McCann, the catcher. We've talked about, you know, he's going to be fairly high draft pick, but known more for his offense than his defense. He has thrown out 8 of 38 would-be base stealers this year.
Yep, and you nailed it. I mean, he's in there for that left-handed stick.
Check swing. No. 3-2 to Martirano. And Jackson Hesterly, the left fielder, is on deck.
I'll tell you, quite big spot in the game. I mean, you got momentum on the line. You could get a double play here if you're Georgia Tech. If you're North Carolina, you could break this thing wide open. A lot on the line in this pitch right here.
6 home runs at the plate in Martirano. The pitch. Struck him out. Court Rodig digging down deep and coming up with a strikeout. 1 down here in the 5th.
Gotta love the aggressiveness from Rodig, and in a big spot as a true freshman, and you don't back off the moment at all. I mean, that fastball just explodes up into Martirano right there.
And now North Carolina is going to bring up a pinch hitter. It'll be Caleb Roberts. And we're going to get a trip to the mound. And a pitching change. Well done by Rodig, but Danny Hall is going to make a move.
Yeah, Rodig kept the zeros up there and pitched with some attitude, giving his Yellow Jackets a chance to win an ACC championship.
He do this, and Court Rodig did it. For the second time this year against North Carolina, he goes 4 1/3 innings. Quality work on the mound.
Absolutely. True freshman, a big spot like this. And, you know, that Georgia Tech's going to need him in the postseason. That's a really good start.
Caleb Roberts pinch hitting here for UNC. The first pitch from the new pitcher, Luke Bartnicki, is a strike.
And Luke Bartnicki is, you talk about high upside. This is a left-hander with a unique arm slot. And, boy, he can rush the ball up there into low to mid-90s. He is a very uncomfortable at bat.
Most used man out of the pen. This is his 28th appearance, and he jumps ahead 0-2. He put in a solid inning of relief in the win over Duke on Friday. Only threw 13 pitches in that game against the Blue Devils.
Caleb Roberts, that's a tough pinch hit appearance. Freshman left-hander, you could be a 40-year-old left-handed hitter, and Bartnicki is a very unique look and a tough at bat. And Bartnicki is up to 93 miles an hour, and it's an easy 93.
2 on, 1 out. Strike 3, and Caleb Roberts, who had the game-winning hit by pitch in a pinch hit appearance against Virginia on Wednesday, turns around and walks back to the dugout, a strikeout victim here 2 down in the 5th.
And that's almost an unfair pinch hit appearance. But if Bart Nicky, who's been somewhat inconsistent, I mean, that fastball is painted on the outer half. And think about it, Clay, with that arm slot, that pitch is coming from second base almost and running all the way across the field. No chance for a left-handed hitter to get to that pitch.
This is a better matchup for Carolina as Tesser stands in. Right-hand hitter lines it to left, and it's down in front of Hall. Coming around, here comes Freeman. He will score, and the game is tied at 1. What a tournament for Dallas Tesser. The junior from Simi Valley driving in his 3rd run of the week.
It is so funny. This is Dallas Tesser's reputation. The bigger the moment, the better he plays. And you love that he was ready to go first pitch. You nailed it, Clay. That's a better look for the right-handed hitter. And Bart Nicky has been in the strike zone consistently so far in this inning. So why not be aggressive as a right-handed hitter?
And now back to the top of the order, and Harris, who is 0 for 2. The 1-0. 2-0. Dallas Tesser, a spark plug the last 2 years for the Heels. Bases clearing single yesterday in the semis against BC. He had 2 RBIs coming into the day yesterday. He had 2 in 1 at bat. And this team is now 7-1 with him in the starting lineup. They have found their guy in right field, it seems. There's a strike, 2-1. So Tesser ties it up at 1. Bart Nicky out of the Georgia Tech bullpen in relief of Roden. The freshman sees it popped up left side. The outfielder Hall is going to call everybody off, make the catch, coming over to the line. And Georgia Tech's out of the inning. But the Heels get 1. We're even now after 4.5. Great ceremony here in Durham on Friday. Mike Martin, the longtime head coach of the Seminoles, in his final ACC game was honored prior to Florida State beating NC State 11-0. How appropriate that the final's 11-0 on the day that maybe 11, as he's been known for so many years, has coached his final game at Florida State. They hope not. They think they're going to get into the NCAA tournament.
It's just amazing. And in his home state of North Carolina, ironically, as well. But, you know, it just the legend of all legends, right? I mean, this is Mike Martin, 40 wins and a regional is the worst season he's ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a career year for most coaches or, you know, programs, and he's done it every single year for 40 years.
Colin Howell rolls it over foul.
And by the way, Clay, Mike Martin did it first class every step of the way. You know, it's just, there's just, in coaching, it's so competitive. You're going to get crosswise with people at times. Just didn't happen with Mike Martin. Just really, again, he's the legend of all legends.
Strike to Hall, 1-2. 8 ACC tournament titles for Martin. More wins than any coach in any NCAA sport over the last 40 years. And again, it's kind of weird not seeing Florida State in this game. It's the first time in 4 years that the Seminoles aren't in the ACC title game.
It is. I mean, what you just said, though, Clay, drink that in for a second. He's won more games than any coach in NCAA history in any sport.
Any sport.
He's won more baseball games than guys like Bruce Bochy. They play 162 games a year. Jim Leland. It's amazing the career that he's had.
2-2 from Butler. Lifted into short center. Soretti, the shortstop, goes down on the grass, makes the catch. Hall is retired, and that'll bring up Will Height here in the Georgia Tech 5th inning. So Florida State with an RPI of 49. Again, one Friday over NC State. That was almost a must-win for the Seminoles. And even after that victory, it's still tenuous.
Yeah, 49 is a high RPI. You know, that's not a comfortable space. But I'll tell you what I like the most about their resume is 18-14 aggregate record in ACC games. I think that's a big deal. But of course, 0-3 versus Florida, who's another bubble team, and that hurts a little bit. I think the challenge for Florida State is they play 4 freshmen in their everyday lineup, and they've had the natural ups and downs with that. And their ace, Drew Parrish, has not had his normal season.
Austin Wilhite, a strikeout victim, his first time up. Some Seminoles fans here no matter what. Great crowds this week for the ACC tournament at Durham Bulls Athletic Park. Duke plays a lot of its home games here. In fact, the majority of its home games. And Duke is another team, Ruins, that is on the proverbial bubble. Their RPI coming into the day, 44.
Yeah, and I think for me, Duke is comfortably in. You know, they're 22-11 with their star player, Joey Loperfido, back. And the committee looks at that. When you lose a star player and that player comes back, does that change your season? And you know, 31-25 is not glamorous to look at, but for me, there's some really quality wins there. You look at, you know, they've got a win over Texas Tech. They've got a win over East Carolina.
Look at.
I think there's a lot to like with Duke.
Coach Pollard has done a great job with that program.
I mean, they're almost in Omaha last year.
Yep.
Win a road regional at Georgia and gave Texas Tech everything they wanted and more in that super regional. You're right. They've done an incredible job at Duke.
Three-two to Wilhite, and Austin looks at strike 3. Second time he has struck out today. First time against Butler, 2 down. Jackson Webb stole a run for Georgia Tech in the 3rd inning.
Yeah, that was a left-handed hitter up, so ran right in Martirano's face. And Martirano tries to maybe compensate for that with a back pick. And it was beautiful base running. Take your lead in foul ground, return to the base in fair ground, create a bad throwing angle. And again, you just love that there's a little bit of riverboat gambler in this Georgia Tech team. It's because, you know, you can imagine, Kay, you got Clay with English and McCann, Radcliffe, there's so much power. It's like, hey, let's not take chances. Let's wait. Let's be ready when the home runs come. But Danny Hall's club, that's not how they're wired. I love it.
Jackson Webb was not a regular a little more than a month ago. Won the starting third base job and has not looked back. And you look at him in the 8-hole, and a terrific weapon on the bases, and the batting average is very good.
Switch hitter, yeah, it's a good looking player right here.
Trying to bunt his way on with a hit.
Well, for the Wilhites and Jackson Webb, the top of this Georgia Tech order is so potent. Any way you can get yourself to first base, get this offense stirred up for that top of the order.
So after that base hit in the 3rd inning, Webb's average now 330. Base is empty, 2 outs here in the 5th inning, tied at 1. Line drive and caught by McGee. It's more of a looping liner. McGee lays out, and second base has been a little bit of a lazy Susan for North Carolina this year, but McGee makes a great play to end the 5th. On to the 6th here in the ACC Baseball Championship on ESPN. And of the top ACC prospects for the draft, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, Michael Bush of North Carolina is considered the highest. Shortstop Will Wilson of NC State. Logan Davidson, a switch-hitting shortstop. The league had a conference record 75 players drafted last year. Should be another good year. And bunting against that shift is Michael Bush. That's the answer to the shift. You know, people are talking about how do you combat it? Well, handle the bat on the bunt.
Yeah, and I mean, some people would argue that, hey, it's better that Michael Bush do that than hit a home run. I would disagree. I love this. This is Michael Bush showing you that, hey, I'm a baseball player. you've got your third base playing even more pull than a normal shortstop would. I love that. This is, and now, Clay, you got a leadoff base runner in a 1-1 game.
And Aaron Sabato at the plate. He jumps on the first pitch. High and deep, right center. Radcliffe coming over, watching it leave. Home run for Aaron Sabato, the ACC Freshman of the Year. And North Carolina goes in front.
Boy, that is beautiful offense, Clay. You've got a tough look left on left. Bush gets the bunt down, and then Sabato is ready to rock. First pitch from Bartnicki, and that is some kind of strength to run one out of here to the opposite field. That's what makes Sabato so dangerous as a right-handed hitter. He'll use the other side of the field.
And he has had the world by a string here the last couple of weeks, as Soretti tries to bunt as well. He hit for the cycle 10 days ago against NC State. He swung a great bat here in the tournament. Now Aaron Sabato has given North Carolina its first lead of the day. It's 3-1 here in the 6th.
How about Soretti? That's such a freshman move, right? You just want to do what your older brother does. He saw Bush get the bunt hit, so he tries it.
Instead, it's a line drive base hit into left field. And that's his first hit.
That's where Michael Bush will get Danny Soretti in the dot and say, hey man, no, us lefties bunt against Bartnicki. You righties have to get hits because it's hard for us. You can see Soretti plays with a lot of energy, a lot of life.
That is the 4th hit against Bartnicki since he came out of the Georgia Tech pen. And here comes Danny Hall to the mound.
And the right-handed hitters have really dominated him. He has handled the lefties. The right-handers have really gotten after him.
And that is going to be all for the freshman from Marietta. Jake Lee, senior right-hander, will pitch next for the Yellow Jackets. A bunt single, and this.
We got some special freshmen in this league, Clay. Aaron Sabato's one of them, going big fly to right center field. North Carolina on top.
As we come back to Durham, we take a look at the regional host bubble. North Carolina is on that bubble, but they've got the lead now by 2 runs in the 6th inning. NC State out of the ACC is also on the proverbial bubble. How about Ole Miss, though? They have gotten red hot. In fact, they're going to be in the SEC title game against Vanderbilt after we're done here. We're going to take you to Hoover, Alabama for that.
Yeah, I really like Ole Miss. 20 SEC wins is a lot. Now, remember, their RPI is in the low 20s, so assume they lose to Vandy today. Maybe that RPI is not enough. And I look at Santa Barbara, Clay, 45-9. And I know that they have no games against the top 50, but let's not pretend that we don't understand that the Big West is a great baseball league. Remember, from 2014 to 2017, the Big West had a team in the College World Series 4 straight years. So, boy, Santa Barbara looks like they're getting squeezed out, and you hate to see that.
2 teams in the country with single-digit losses. UCLA, who's been great all year, and Santa Barbara.
Yep. Hey, and Santa Barbara, we're told they're going to host in Las Vegas at the new AAA park. What's not to like about that?
Especially if it's you and me there.
That's right. We officially volunteer.
Yeah. Ike Freeman at the plate. Throw down. And McCann skips it into second base. And now time is going to be called. We've got an argument here by Ike Freeman with home plate umpire Perry Costello. And Freeman is going to be an out. And now here comes Mike Fox. Some interference, no doubt.
Well, and the way we have the rule going right now, Clay, Perry Costello made the right call as far as I can tell, because Freeman did fall over the plate there, and McCann does a nice job selling it for sure.
Wow.
The thing for me, Clay, is I just, the way we're interpreting that rule right now, I worry that we're babying catchers. I mean, that interference call on hitters you see it with great frequency in college baseball in today's day and age, and I don't know if that's the right thing. I mean, the hitter's job is to compete in the box. It's not to stay out of the way of a catcher.
So that's an interference out, and going back to first base is Serretti. Here's another look.
And ironic, it looks like Freeman tries to stay out of the way, but his swing clearly, so he's chasing a breaking ball. His momentum carries him forward. You know what's interesting, Clay? Really what happened there is McCann lost the grip on the baseball, and it sold the interference call even more. And Freeman did make an attempt to shrink himself. That's the other interesting thing. I just think when McCann lost the ball at the top of his throwing stroke, he lost the grip of it. It just made it look like interference even more.
Well, Jake Lee, the third pitcher to work for Georgia Tech, and so far so good. Got a break. And you look at the numbers for Lee. Again, Rodig was the starter, pitched well, 4 1/3 innings. Bartnicki was knocked around pretty good. Gave up a couple of runs this inning.
And we're at that time of the year where a guy like Jake Lee, who hadn't even thrown 10 innings, is in a massive spot in the middle of an ACC championship game, and which would lead you to believe that, hey, he's going to be in the mix for some innings in the postseason.
Ashton McGee got the first hit of the day for North Carolina back in the 5th.
It says 1 for 2 with a single, but it was a seed.
Yeah.
I mean, he really got into that baseball.
The 1-2 from Lee. That's fouled away.
Mr. Sabato. Going to be fun to watch him hit for another couple years.
His 14th home run of the season. His 55th and 56th runs batted in here in the 6th. Made it 3-1 North Carolina.
You know, when you got a guy that wears out the other side of the field like that, Clay, the only thing you can do to Sabato is pitch him in, but that might anger him, and I don't think I want him angry.
No. Lee keeping close tabs on first base, where Serretti is getting real dirty. North Carolina in good shape now, going for its 8th ACC tournament title. Georgia Tech going for its 10th. That would tie Clemson for the most tourney titles all time. Breaking pitch inside, missed. 2-2. Micah Carpenter is loosening up now in the Georgia Tech bullpen.
This is the point in this game, Clay, where Danny Hall and Mike Fox could be in this position soon. You need a younger arm that maybe hadn't been out there that much to run into a hot streak, because you're running low on options. And certainly these kids wouldn't be in these programs if they didn't have great physical talent. But somebody's going to have to do something that they probably haven't done during the regular season.
Serretti 3 for 4 on the year in stolen bases. And Lee is wearing him out. And the crowd is getting rankled by all the throwovers by Lee. Yet another one. I don't think that Serretti's going to have the energy to steal second base, even if he wanted to.
But he does look runnerish, because each of the throws have been fairly close.
And he may have jammed his wrist or his finger on that last slide.
Or, Clay, that's a deke. That's a decoy. Let's see. Yeah, a little bit.
You're seeing a lot of the base runners now wear that mitt that protects the hand. Serretti is not wearing that, obviously.
I like, maybe, am I overthinking this conspiracy theory? He fakes the wrist thing to kind of get the attention off him, and then you steal this pitch? What do you think?
You are kind of a grassy knoll guy.
Let's see.
This crowd getting anxious here in Durham on this hot Sunday on Memorial Weekend. Lee finally coming home and misses down, full count. Boy, Georgia Tech could use a ground ball, double play ball. That was what they got in the fourth to end a mild Carolina threat. Trying to get out of this inning down just 2.
Cerretti didn't even really take a secondary lead last pitch, Clay. I wonder if he's a little gassed. It's not a very enjoyable strategy from a fan standpoint, but you can see what Lee's doing there. He is beating the stolen base thought out of Cerretti's brain right now.
Cerretti goes, and it's fouled away.
Cerretti is got to be thinking, am I on the track team or what's going on here? It's like boot camp. For one stolen base, Clay, you need to give me 10 dives back to first base and then at least one more sprint.
And then you'll have earned it.
Yes. I would be hard-pressed to believe we're not picking right here if you're Georgia Tech.
2 runs in, 1 out here in the 6th. 3-2, whacked high and deep, right center field. Going, gone. Home run for Ashton McGee. The second 2-run homer of the inning. And North Carolina leads it 5-1.
Boy, if North Carolina can get Ashton McGee going, that is another really good at bat for him, and breaking ball just hangs up for him, and he knew it. Wow.
That's a pretty swing from the left-hander. 66 home runs on the year as Martirano hits now. The most home runs by a Carolina team since 2009. And that is the 5th home run here in the ACC tournament. As Martirano peels that off foul, a ball and a strike.
And I would say, Clay, for North Carolina, that this is the highs are high. Now there's been some issues for them playing defense at times this year, but boy, there is some star power on this roster. I would also tell you, though, Georgia Tech can score in bunches,
yes.
So you better keep going.
Chopped into the ground. Charging at third is Webb. On the run. Nice throw. Got him. 2 down. The way Jackson Webb has played today, he's going to be in the conversation for MVP. Of course, his team is down 4 runs. Qualified tells the story of Janet Guthrie, first woman to qualify for the Indianapolis 500 and the Daytona 500. Great story from the mid-1970s, what she accomplished in American motorsports. Qualified. Premieres Tuesday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN. Martirano is out, number 2. And there's a line drive, base hit. Caleb Roberts, he's digging for 2, and he's going to get there standing up. Caleb Roberts, who came on as a pinch hitter in the 5th inning and had very little luck against Bartnicki, has plenty of luck against Lee. Wraps a ringing double with 2 outs here in the 6th inning.
And that's North Carolina's got a nice mix, Clay, of lefties and righties, and they've done a nice job ham and egging Georgia Tech today, where the right-handed hitters have punished the left-handed pitchers from Georgia Tech, and vice versa. You see the left-handed hitters punishing the right-handed Jake Lee.
Now the 9-hole hitter Dallas Tesser, who has been outstanding again today. An RBI single last inning. He may not get to see Lee. Here comes Danny Hall again. They're going both barrels in the Georgia Tech bullpen, a lefty and a righty. Costello to break it up before he makes the call.
Yeah, maybe Lee faces Tesser, but you got two lefties coming after that.
Pitching change. It'll be the righty. Micah Carpenter coming out. He'll be the fourth pitcher to work. Two pitchers gave up 2-run homers this inning to Carolina. And the inning rolls on when we come back. 5-1 Heels here in Durham. Carolina fans can't wait. Georgia Tech fans can't wait. We can't wait. It's been a good inning for North Carolina. They have hung a crooked number here in the 6th. 5 hits in the inning, a couple of homers, a double, and still you feel like it might not be enough.
I mean, Georgia Tech has made this park look small throughout the week.
Micah Carpenter, pitcher number 4 for the Yellow Jackets. We've seen some freshmen, we've seen youngsters. This is a veteran making his 18th appearance of the year as they go back to the right-hander.
Yeah, and you're getting to a point in the game, Clay, you just keep making pitching changes. You're hoping you can run into a guy that finds a groove, but the opposite can be true too, where you just continue to heat up your opponent offense.
Roberts at second base for North Carolina. Dallas Tesser at the plate. An RBI single in the 5th for Tesser. Transferred to North Carolina before last year from Yavapai Junior College in Arizona. Part of the country Mike Rooney knows very well. Fly ball. Right center. Nick Wilhite making the catch, and Carolina finally done in the inning, but they get 4, lead it by 4. This is an absolutely beautiful ballpark here in Durham, North Carolina. Durham Bulls Athletic Park. The water fountain. I wanted to jump in that thing.
That's
walking
right.
into the ballpark. It's 95 degrees here today. There's the famous bowl.
Yep.
We've seen a couple of guys come close to hitting that guy right on the nose.
No doubt. I would tell you, Clay, like this Durham and this tournament have been a great match. The stadium's beautiful. The city embraces it. It's been great for the ACC. And we were really disappointed to hear that the International League will no longer allow Durham to hold these dates for this tournament. So it's a little bit of a scramble. I hope the International League reconsiders that position, because this tournament belongs here in Durham. They've done such a great job with it. Really disappointing to hear the International League take that stance, and I hope it's something that can be reconsidered. This has been an absolute outstanding venue for this tournament.
The 10th time that this tournament has been held here. Nick Wilhite leading off the 6th for Georgia Tech. They're down 4. ACC championship on the line here today. Don't forget the SEC title game from Hoover, Alabama, coming up when we're done. Should be good. Vanderbilt, they've been terrific all year. Ole Miss has been a solid team as well, but really getting hot here the last week.
Yeah, I mean, Vanderbilt's a freight train. I mean, that offense is... I haven't seen much like that in college baseball in a long time. I mean, they just run right through you. And Ole Miss is a really neat team. You got a bunch of juniors that were the 3rd-ranked recruiting class. These kids have been through a lot. They missed the whole tournament their freshman year. Last year, they're a top 8 seed and then lost a heartbreaking home regional to Tennessee Tech. I just got a sneaky suspicion about that Ole Miss team, Clay, where sometimes Omaha happens when you least expect it. And boy, those Ole Miss kids, if they get there, they will have earned it.
Hanson Butler's 1-2 pitch. This is up and out. So we've seen as many as 10 teams from leagues get into the national tournament in the past. The ACC's had that many on occasion. The SEC has. Doesn't appear that we're going to have a 10-team league this year.
Yeah, the SEC is closest, but it just looks like they're going to come up one shy. You know, it looks like Missouri's going to have a tough time getting in there. But, yeah, it's happened. The SEC's done it in 14 and 18. The ACC did it in 2016, so it's been done 3 times. But as you can imagine, it's hard. You got to have a whale of a league to pull that off.
The 2-2. Full count. Top of the order, Luke Waddell on deck. He's been on base twice. Hanson Butler has retired 7 in a row. Will Height trying to change that. The younger of the Will Height brothers. This has been a good at-bat for the 9-hole hitter. Butler's at 42 pitches. How far do you think North Carolina can carry him? After all, he did pitch yesterday.
Yeah, I think he's getting up on the end of it, and you see Joey Lancelotti, who's really their premium arm at the end, is hot. So I think you're almost done with Butler, although it's been fairly stress-free.
Not here, though. He walks the leadoff man. And the top of the order coming up.
I wonder if Butler will get to face the next hitter. That's a real red flag as far as somebody getting tired, is walking the leadoff hitter, and you see Mike Fox peeking down there thinking, is it one more hitter, or do we go get Lancelotti right now?
Lancelotti has won 2 games in relief with 5 shutout innings this week here in Durham, and here comes Mike Fox. He's even got the sunglasses off, so he's serious.
Yeah, I think this is a great observation by Mike Fox. Butler is giving you a really nice outing, but he appeared to lose command there, and you got some good options in your bullpen. Lancelotti's got an electric arm, so.
Really good crowd on hand. You know, we saw NC State in the semifinals. We thought it might be an NC State versus North Carolina battle here for the ACC tournament title. But even though you've got one in-state team, it is still a great crowd, and they are appreciative of Hanson Butler's effort. Round of applause for the right-hander. We step aside. Joey Lancelotti, new pitcher for North Carolina. Hanson Butler was terrific. And now he gives away to the kinesiology major, who has won 2 games in relief here in the tournament. And Waddell falls behind in the count, 1 strike.
It's a great matchup right here. 2 of the better sophomores in the league. And Lancelotti's a kid from suburban Philadelphia. Big arm. You catch him on the right day, he'll run it up to 97 with a power breaking ball.
Just missed. 1-1. Waddell, single and a walk. He was stranded at third in the first inning. There is Butler. Hanson Butler goes 2 2/3. No runs, no hits. You can't get much better than that. Walked a couple of guys, but also had a couple of strikeouts. And the pitching, I think, for both sides has been better than what we expected, because it's been a long week for both teams.
For sure. And I think for both teams, your pitching's kind of rounding into shape in a good way heading into the postseason. You have to be pleased. I mean, for North Carolina, you've got Lancelotti, who's a guy you really trust, and you've also got Austin Love, who's had a great year, and you throw Butler in that mix, and you got a 3-headed bullpen, back of the bullpen.
Luke Waddell, the sophomore from Loveland, Ohio. He has Nick Wilhite at first base. Georgia Tech down 4. High fly ball. I believe this is a challenging sky today, but Dylan Harris makes it look easy in center field. And there's some puffy clouds up there, but a lot of sunshine today.
Very, very bright day, no question. I think it's one of those days, Clay, where if a ball's hit in the air to your neighbor on the field, you have to sprint just in case they lose it. We've seen a couple outfielders struggle with it, not lose it altogether, but boy, is this a gorgeous park or what? Man, oh man. Come on, International League. Don't kick us out of here.
Yeah. Another thing about this ballpark, too, that makes it challenging for outfielders is that wall out in left field. I mean, it's a 32-foot high wall, 305 feet away from home plate, and we've seen some outfielders struggle with caroms at times.
Yep. Well, nice. Yeah, that's really neat. That big video board right there. The big faces are a little intimidating. I wouldn't want to play left field here.
With that big face over your shoulder.
Staring at your back.
And then how about that manual scoreboard to the right?
Really cool.
Love that. This is going to get away from Bush, but he'll track it down before Wilhite can advance.
That's the thing about Bush. He gives you more positional value if you play him somewhere else, but he can be a very good first baseman too, so very athletic play there.
He grew up in Minnesota. He probably played quite a bit of hockey. He knows how to block
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, pucks.
Comes from a big family. Another pop-up. And Ashton McGee, the second baseman, is going to be the one under it when it finally comes down. Out number 2. Goldberg is out, and now Kyle McCann coming up again. Tonight, 7 Eastern, ESPN. Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. From St. Louis, Braves and Cardinals. Coverage begins 6 Eastern on both ESPN and the ESPN app with Baseball Tonight's Sunday Night Countdown. Of course, former Georgia Tech catcher Matt Wieters playing for the Cardinals. He was on that 2005 Georgia Tech ACC title team, and they've had some great catchers here over the years.
Oh my gosh, look at that. Joey Bart, second pick in the draft last year. Veritek, the captain, Wieters. Goodness gracious, that is a group right there.
Kyle McCann, big swing and a miss. He was trying to hit home run number 24 on the year, but comes up empty.
Nice pitch. I mean, Lance Lott, it's an 85-mile-an-hour changeup right there, where he's really more famous for the big fastball and the sharp breaking ball. That's a nice third addition for him.
One and two. Third most home runs in a single season at Georgia Tech with those 23 bombs. Mark Fisher at 24 in 97. Anthony Massano had 25 in 1990. That's the team record. And there's plenty of baseball ahead for Georgia Tech, so McCann could break that. Man on, 2 outs, the 1-2. Missed down, 2-2.
Monterano motioning to Lancelotti there. I mean, that's a South Jersey kid in Monterano and a Philly kid in Lancelotti. I mean,
you're
come
eating
on.
that up with a
this
spoon.
Is too good. And you got McCann. Look at that.
There's some attitude there too. I see.
So good. He's saying, give me the big fastball. Give me mid-90s. Let's rush it up on this guy.
Here we go. Got it with the heat. Oh, you take it, Runes.
Hey, you know, Clay, just is what happens when a couple Eagles fans gets together, and Lancelotti unleashing the big fastball. Too much for McCann. The Tar Heels on top.
The selection special presented by Capital One, Monday at noon Eastern on ESPNU. The 64 teams will be revealed. And between the 31 automatic qualifiers and the teams that are considered locks, about 55 teams know they're in right now. It's the other 10, maybe as few as 9, where there's some questions.
Yep. Every team's got a story. Texas State won the Sun Belt regular season, lost in the tournament. BYU won the WCC. Those are two really good baseball leagues. You know, you got Arizona's a team that got super hot late. Southern Miss has made a big run in the Conference USA tournament. Boy, Missouri, that's a team my heart hurts for, Clay.
Yeah.
I mean, they're appealing their postseason suspension, so they are eligible for the tournament, but they lost their last 5 SEC games, and you know that puts them at 13-18, or I should say 13-17-1 in the league. There's a lot of parts of the Missouri's resume that I really like. I just think those last 5 losses.
They got swept at home their final weekend
by Florida, and man, it's so touch and go right there. But you know, Missouri's got some star power too. TJ Sycamore is as good a left-hander as anybody's got, and Cameron Meisner might be a first-round pick. I think will be a first-round pick. They're 6'4" outfielder.
Dylan Harris unloads but foul. 1-2 to the leadoff hitter for North Carolina here in the 7th. Carolina leading by 4. We know these two teams are going to be in. North Carolina hoping to be at home next weekend as a host. Georgia Tech hoping to be at home the next 2 weekends as a top 8 national seed. Harris is a strikeout victim. 1 down. And you were talking about the bubble impact games to keep an eye on today.
Oh boy, and so you know that those last 5 in, last 5 out, that changes because look at Cincinnati. They're going to steal a bid if they hang on and win that game. UConn is in. Southern Miss would steal a bid if they beat Florida Atlantic. TCU, if they could win the Big 12, they would steal a bid. Scott Guggens, Clay, that's a name to write down. That guy can really coach. Did an unbelievable job at Xavier. He just took over at Cincinnati, and here they've got a chance to sneak in, and they kind of came out of nowhere to finish 2nd place in the American.
The committee chair again this year is Ray Tanner, South Carolina athletic director, former NC State head coach, so he's got some ACC ties. And that's not an easy job, and it's not an easy job for the committee.
No,
this year especially.
As college baseball's gotten so much more competitive across the country, it's gotten harder.
High and deep to right. Off the bat of Bush at the wall, gone. Radcliffe thought he had a chance at the last moment, but it sails out of here. Michael Bush with his 15th bomb of the year. 3rd home run of the day for the Heels. And it's 6-1.
Well, if you weren't sold on Michael Bush as a first-round pick coming into today, Clay, this ought to wrap it up for you. How about leads off the last inning with a drag bunt base hit to really ignite his team, and then fastball down and in, and so strong. Works his hands inside the baseball, and that's what good hitting looks like.
Product of Simley High School just south of St. Paul, Minnesota. And he has found his home on Tobacco Road. Going to be a high draft pick.
And it's interesting, where do you play Michael Bush in professional baseball? I mean, do you leave him at first base? He's a little undersized for your typical MLB first baseman, but he's a good athlete. There's other spots he could play.
The draft starts June 3rd. Speaking of New Jersey, Seacons.
That's right.
How high do you see Michael Bush going?
I mean, I think where Keith has him, number 16, that's right. I think he's a top 20 pick guy. It's just...
That's a fair ball. Aaron Sabato, the freshman, is going to have extra bases. And that is his 2nd hit today. 4th time he's been on base. And North Carolina continues to flex his muscle. It really started in the 5th inning. It continues here in the 7th.
And it is, I really like Mike Fox hitting Michael Bush 2nd and then Aaron Sabato 3rd.
Yeah.
You give that is 2 really difficult hitters to get through. Those 2 guys can wreck a game all by themselves and maximize their at-bats.
Mike Fox, head coach since 1999. He has pushed some buttons in those 20 years, and they are usually the right buttons.
Sure are. I mean, it took a North Carolina program, which was a nice program, and made it a national power.
Yeah.
It's really absolutely took this place and this program to the next level.
Asheville, North Carolina native.
And you don't have a Division I national championship, Clay, but remember, finished second twice in 06 and 07 to Oregon State, and boy, could have easily won either of those two series.
Helped North Carolina get to the College World Series as a player in 1978 before he became a coach. So one of just 5 active Division I coaches with over 900 wins as his alma mater. I mean, you talk about being a program guy. It's
yeah.
Mike Fox. You cut him open, he bleeds Carolina blue.
Yeah, I mean, you think about that stretch from 2006 to 2013. They go to Omaha 4 straight years, 06 to 09, and you're talking about Dustin Ackley, Kyle Seager, and Andrew Miller, Daniel Bard, Matt Harvey, just on and on. Robert Woodard, his pitching coach, was just a great college pitcher. Colin Moran, it just, boy, what a run he has had in Chapel Hill.
A win today for North Carolina gives them their 8th ACC tournament title. And they would be essentially a lock to be at home next weekend as a regional host in the NCAA tournament. They beat BC yesterday in the semis. They won 7-5 over Miami in 11 innings on Friday, coming back from 5 runs down. Showed some great character in that game. And beat Virginia 3-2 in 10 innings on Wednesday in the opener for Carolina. It's a walk here for Soretti. He's been on base twice. So now 2 on with 1 out. And Ike Freeman, who is still trying to figure out what happened his last plate appearance.
The phantom interference call.
And the Georgia Tech bullpen is cranking again. Barlow, the lefty. Winborn, the right-hander. And he's a side armor. Fly ball. It's going to stay in the ballpark. Radcliffe makes the catch. Tagging from second. And getting to third is Sabato. Runners at the corners with 2 outs, and McGee comes up. McGee has a couple of hits today, including a big 2-run home run last inning.
He has been on point today. Hadn't missed anything, and hanging breaking ball. A no-doubter.
Like you said, if he can get hot, that could really propel North Carolina, because he's had a bit of an up and down year. Now Micah Carpenter may be done. Here comes Danny Hall again. And he will make a pitching change. He's going to call on the lefty this time. And we're going to step aside. Pitching change again here in Durham. Carolina has added to its lead. It's now a 5-run cushion. Let's look at what D1 baseball is projecting as far as bids by conference. You know, they think 10 teams are going to get in from the SEC.
Yeah, so if you look at it, that has the Big Ten at 3 right there. So that means that maybe Michigan is coming out of there, and so maybe you're sneaking Missouri in right now. I'm telling you, this thing can change by the minute right now.
It's pretty fluid.
And, the bids moving. I think the SEC is certain. We all feel confident they're getting 9 or 10. Boy, that gets interesting right there, doesn't it?
Yeah. You see the ACC with 8, including these 2. How about Auburn?
Yeah, I have Auburn safely, and it gets, Auburn's thing gets a little dicey because you know, they're up to 18 losses in the league, but there's a lot of quality wins there too.
And they had the #1 strength of schedule all year. All right, so another pitching change for Georgia Tech. This is pitcher number 5, left-hander Walker Barlow, freshman from Pooler, Georgia, making just his 7th appearance of the season.
That is this time of year, Clay. It is, you know, a game like this, if you want to pitch in the postseason, here is your tryout.
North Carolina with a run in the 5th, 4 in the 6th, 1 more here in the 7th. And Ashton McGee at the plate. McGee had the 2-run homer in the 6th inning. Sabato at third. Soretti at first for North Carolina. 6 runs on 9 hits for the Tar Heels. 1 run, 2 hits only for Georgia Tech. And an offense for the Yellow Jackets that came into this game on fire. And it's really been a great offense all season, Mike Rooney, but North Carolina has received very good pitching. Olio gave him a couple of really solid innings as the starter, and then Hanson Butler, 2 2/3 of hitless relief.
Butler has been a massive addition for North Carolina's bullpen.
2-2 caught the inside corner.
It's so neat to see it too. A 5th-year senior that just finds a groove at the end of his career and kind of been on again, off again, and getting healthy and hot at just the right time.
Two from Barlow. Runner goes from first. Called strike 3. Inning over. But an insurance run for North Carolina. Solo shot from Michael Bush at 6-1. North Carolina offense has scored 6 runs in the last 3 innings, and they lead it. Here's we go to the bottom of the 7th inning stretch time here in Durham alongside Mike Rooney, former coach at Arizona State, former player at Notre Dame. I'm Clay Mathick. And this will decide the ACC championship. Both of these teams are in. We talked about that throughout the broadcast, but still a lot to play for here today, Rich.
Yeah, no question. I mean, this is the last look the committee's going to get. And if you're North Carolina, you want to host a regional again, and Georgia Tech, you want to be one of those coveted top 8 seeds where, you know, someone's going to have to beat you twice on your own field to keep you from Omaha. So that's the ultimate prize of the regular season in college baseball.
Louisville was a team that looked really good through the regular season. In fact, they were the #1 seed coming in here to Durham. Did not play well, though, this week. Went 0-2. You still think, though, that they're a top 8 national seed?
I still think they're number 8, but boy, it's competitive. You got teams like Stanford sitting there, East Carolina, Oklahoma State. What if they win the Big 12 today? But Louisville, their calling card is, in a prestigious league like the ACC, you had the best regular season record, and you played the hardest schedule because it's in balance. It's unbalanced. So Louisville's got a lot on their resume, but it's really tight.
NC State, another team that did not play particularly well here this week. They may be out of a hosting spot.
Yeah, and it's a shame for NC State because they won the series handily over North Carolina last weekend. And it looks like they were in a great spot. And then, you know, I think the problem for them, Clay, is it was really competitive, or is really competitive, for the final hosting spot. And they didn't look great here. You know, those last 2 losses were not particularly competitive games, and that hurts you.
North Carolina coming into this game on the host bubble, but certainly if they win it, they will be off that bubble and they will be at home next week. And it looks pretty good right now. They've got a 5-run lead as we go to the bottom of the 7th, but this is a dangerous Georgia Tech offense. And you just wonder, you know, when the Bear is going to wake up, but they're starting to run out of time. 9 outs to work with. Tristan English certainly can get things started. He has grounded into a double play and struck out. He's 0 for 2. But a guy who was hit for the cycle against North Carolina already this season. With that said, he's 0 for 3.
And I would tell you, Clay, for North Carolina right now, you've got Lancelotti, who's your guy in the game. He's throwing the ball well. You probably can stretch him out another 20 pitches. You've got a nice lead. Your offense is heated up. it's about defense for North Carolina. If they can play catch, play clean defense, they win this game.
English is out. Radcliffe is up. Also 0 for 2. Swings at the first pitch. Backing up is Bush. Played it, got that candy hop. Lancelotti covering. 2 up, 2 down here in the Georgia Tech 7th. Monday on ESPN, our annual Memorial Day baseball tripleheader for you. It starts at 1 Eastern. Marlins Nationals, followed by the Indians and Red Sox. And how about the nightcap? Mets and Dodgers at 8 Eastern. It's going to be DeGrom against Kershaw on the mound. All 3 games are live on ESPN and the ESPN app. Again, our deepest gratitude to the families who've lost a service member on this solemn holiday weekend. We salute you. Colin Hall, 0 for 2 with a strikeout. It's got to be tough playing for the coach when he's your dad. But Hall has certainly deserved to be in the lineup.
I was going to say, it helps when you're a really good player. Colin Hall, a really good, really talented player.
His brother Carter also on the roster, but he's been nicked up and out for the year. You either got to be the worst player on the team or undoubtedly deserving of a starting role. Anything in between gets really ticklish. Tidy inning for Lancelotti. We go to the 8th. Carolina by 5 in the ACC title game.
Everything is suddenly amazing here. Sit back, man. Relax, man. Sit back, man. Come on, man.
Thanks to the city of Durham for hosting us here this week. This is the final game of the ACC tournament. And North Carolina leads it 6-1 over Georgia Tech. We go to the 8th inning. Alongside Mike Rooney, I'm Clay Matvick. That's quite a bit of bull. Rooney and Matvick. We got a big bull out in left field, too.
We got a lot of bull. Maximize the bull.
Carolina, the winner of Pool D. This is the 3rd year of the pool format here at the ACC tournament. The reviews so far, the last few years, liking this thing?
It's grown on me, you know. So the problem is when you play the pool play, the tiebreaker is seed, which I like because it rewards the regular season. But what you end up happening is you have a lot of meaningless game. Okay. So, you know, when NC State and Florida State were playing the other night, NC State already knew they were advancing to the semifinals.
Robert Winborn, the new pitcher for Georgia Tech, gets a ground ball from Martirano. Throw from Wilhite a little off the mark, but English makes the tag, so that's the first out of the 8th.
Boy, this makes you nervous, right? 2 teams going into postseason. You don't want either of the players to get hurt on just a wonky play like that.
English a star for Georgia Tech at first base, and Martirano the valuable backstop for North Carolina. But everybody's okay. And the side armor gets whacked into right field. That's Roberts, who's got a 2-hit game, and he did not start the game. He came on as a pinch hitter in the 5th.
How about that's a little positive karma for Roberts. He had to come in and face Bartnicki, who's just really rough on lefties, and then the last 2 at-bats he gets some right-handers, and he hit some missiles. He kind of took it out on those guys.
Robert Winborn, the 6th pitcher today for Georgia Tech. Roberts is going to be pinch run for. And Dylan Enweiler is going to come on to run at first.
Running at first base, number 6, Dylan Enweiler.
Senior from Chandler, Arizona. Here's Dallas Tesser again. An RBI single in 3 trips.
I love this idea, Tesser bunting, because remember, Winborn's a submariner. So think about that, Clay. If you bunt on a submariner, how is he going to throw the ball to first base? Is he going to throw it underhand, or is he going to throw it overhand? I bunt on those guys all day long. I'll tell you, if I was the first baseman, Tristan English, I would like to know the answer to that question. Am I getting a power sinker on the bunt here, or am I going to get overhand fastball? Well, a lot of submariners do some version of their warm-ups overhand, but if I'm Tristan English, I don't know how much consolation that is.
Well, even that throw over to first base wasn't nearly as sidearmy as it was on his last delivery to the plate. I mean, he really drops down.
No doubt.
So you got some Big 12 news. This is going to help the teams that are on that bubble.
Yep. So TCU has lost to Oklahoma State. So the Big 12 championship will be between Oklahoma State and West Virginia, two teams that are locks to be in, and we think for sure hosts. So that helps. If you're on the bubble, you're still lighting candles, but you just a deep breath on that one. One bullet dodged.
There you go. A decidedly partisan crowd today. A lot of Carolina blue in the stands, and they have been vocal on this hot Sunday in Durham, this Memorial weekend. North Carolina lost 2 of 3 in Atlanta to Georgia Tech, looking for a little payback in the ACC title game today. Pitches down 2-2 to Tesser.
Let's go, Dallas!
Now full count.
See, I don't sleep at all tonight, Clay, just out of joy and excitement, like Christmas Eve type of sleep. But I've also been on the other side of it where you don't sleep tonight just out of self-loathing and anxiety and, are you in or out?
So who's bringing the donuts tomorrow? Kyle Peterson, Matt Schick, or you?
That's a great question. Well, I mean, Matt Schick's the host, right? Like that wouldn't, I mean, the host would bring the donuts, would he not?
I don't know. If I were the host, I wouldn't bring them.
Well, there you have it. So it looks like no donuts.
So the selection show starts at noon on ESPNU, but we understand that the top 16, the regional host, that's going to be revealed tonight.
Yep.
Via social media, most likely.
Yep, that's it. Yep. So tonight we'll know the hosts. Tomorrow we find out the 64 teams and where they're being dispersed.
Okay.
And the host, you don't get the top 8. You just get the host sites, the 16 sites. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
so no seating.
We got to save a little something for tomorrow.
Yeah, so we'll find out the
tune
16 locations. And I've never asked, but maybe they do that for travel purposes, that type of thing. But the seeding will come out tomorrow at noon.
Well, basically, teams got to get going right away. I mean, how soon will teams leave that have to travel? I know it depends on how far, but what would be the earliest a team would get going?
Yeah, Wednesday, because you would practice at the location on Thursday and play on Friday.
Boy, this is a long at bat for Tesser, battling Winborn, who just came on to pitch for Georgia Tech. The 11th pitch coming up.
It's an awesome time for a college baseball player, Clay. It's Memorial Day. You have your selection show. You're out of school. Work out at your place and then go try and win a regional.
Finally put in play. High fly ball. Hall stays with it, makes catch, 2 down. Here are Rooney's top 16. Your projections?
There's some cool ones in there. I mean, East Carolina getting to host for the 2nd consecutive year, and West Virginia. I mean, Oregon State has become a national power in college baseball. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, that 8-9, how about Louisville and Stanford? If that plays out, Clay, remember Louisville got upset in their super regional a couple years ago by Santa Barbara and by Fullerton? I think Dan McDonald Louisville has seen more than his fair share of the West Coast.
Well, his team kind of laid an egg here in Durham this week. They scored only 2 runs in 2 games. And that was after scoring 441 runs during the regular season, most in the conference. Hit on the screws to center. Harris got it to the warning track, but Wilhite covers a lot of ground. He makes the catch. And North Carolina's done here in the 8th. Georgia Tech running out of outs. They're down 5.
The ACC Baseball Championship is brought to you by USAA. This Memorial Day, join us in honoring our nation's fallen heroes. And Golden Corral. Join us for endless ribs. Golden Corral, the only one for everyone.
Seen 3 homers from North Carolina today. Got a 6-1 lead as we go to the bottom of the 8th in the ACC title game. The 5 seed North Carolina, the 2 seed Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech got the 2 seed in this tournament because they won the Coastal. Louisville won the Atlantic. Alongside Mike Rooney, I'm Clay Matvick. Glad to be with you on this Sunday, on this Memorial weekend. I want to give a shout out to my dad, Vietnam veteran. Always think of him on Memorial weekend. Up and into Austin Wilhite. 7-8-9 for Georgia Tech. McGee throws him out. I'll tell you, Joey Lancelotti has been nails since coming out of the pen. This is the start of his 3rd full inning.
Really developed as a pitcher. Was just a big arm. Again, from suburban Philly, went to Penn Charter High School. Very good baseball league, the Philadelphia Interact League. Actually had the pleasure of coaching in that at Malvern Prep, so kind of disappointed that Joey went to Penn Charter. But you see that North Carolina, kidding of course, North Carolina bullpen has really been a strength of this club down the stretch. They're playing clean defense in this game, Clay. I mean, that could be a real difference maker for North Carolina.
Had an error today and 4 in the tournament, but they have cut down on them here in the last few weeks as the infield has settled in.
And Mike Fox really thinking out of the box. I mean, you had a veteran in Ike Freeman at shortstop and a freshman in Danny Soretti at second base, and you took Ashton McGee, who's a high school infielder but had been an outfielder for North Carolina. You move McGee to second base and the other 2 guys to the other side. I mean, you know, anytime you put a freshman at shortstop, that's a little concerning, and you move a veteran off of shortstop and put Freeman at third. But so far so good.
Jackson Webb, ground ball deep short. Soretti, good arm, got him. Lancelotti has retired all 8 batters he has faced. 2 outs for Nick Wilhite. Tonight after Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN Sports Center with Anderson and Bucci. They're going to look at Justin Verlander's great season. Plus, the Baseball Tonight crew breaking down why there have been so many impactful rookies in Major League Baseball called up this season. And Sports Center featured telling the story of a retired Marine accomplishing a feat that, thanks to the inspiration of 3 fallen friends.
One of those rookies, Clay's got to be Peter Alonso, right? Former Florida Gator. I know I'm biased, Clay, but college baseball is doing a better and better job every year of preparing guys for the big leagues. The player development going on in college baseball is something else.
Alonso's had a nice first couple of months with the Mets. And the impact that college baseball is having at the major league level is also going beyond just the players. Wes Johnson, the pitching coach of the Minnesota Twins, has had a great impact on that staff, and they are having an outstanding year. One of the best teams in Major League Baseball this year. Swung on and missed. Wilhite goes down. It's a 1-2-3 inning again for Lancelot. We go to the ninth. Carolina leading 6-1. So here we go to the ninth. North Carolina 3 defensive outs away from an ACC tournament championship. It would be their 8th in program history. They might appreciate an insurance run or two, especially as offensive as Georgia Tech has been throughout the year. Only 2 hits and 1 run today.
Yeah, I don't know you can ever have enough runs against Georgia Tech. And I would tell you, this is not a great matchup for Winborn at all. This right-handed sidewinder will typically struggle against a lefty, and Michael Bush is not your ordinary lefty.
Robert Winborn came on in relief last inning. 6 pitchers used by Georgia Tech. Michael Bush has had himself a day, 2 for 4, including a solo home run. He takes outside. It's 3-0.
Yeah, this bad matchup is not lost on Robert Winborn. He wants nothing to do with Bush here. The problem is Sabato's no picnic behind him.
Let's take a look at the ACC awards handed out this year. An impressive list. Bobby Seymour, 92 runs batted in. He was the player of the year, the first baseman for Wake Forest. Reed Detmers, 11 wins on the year. Pitcher of the year from Louisville. Will Wilson, the defensive player of the year. Great shortstop at NC State. We talked about Danny Hall winning coach of the year for the 4th time. And the guy at the plate now, Aaron Sabato, freshman of the year.
He has made a big statement. That to me, Clay, when I think of ACC baseball, this is a players' league. This league has always had high-end players, and this year is no different. Sabato is going to be a star player at North Carolina.
Georgia Tech has thrown a lot of guys today. Nobody's been able to get Sabato out. A couple of walks, 2-run homer, and a double.
That is some kind of strong freshman.
Yeah, he's a mature looking.
Mature looking. How about
freshman.
scary looking?
Yes.
Like, don't get crosswise with him, Clay. You'll end up with your back in a locker.
You sound like you're speaking from experience.
Well,
back in a lot. I've actually had that.
Yeah, I just want it clear that Mr. Sabato has nothing to be mad at me for.
No. Where's Rye Brook, New York? You're an expert on the Northeast.
I believe it's Westchester County, just right above the city.
Got it.
Very nice area.
Pops this one up, and it's going to get out of play. Don't forget the SEC title game between Vanderbilt and Ole Miss is coming up as soon as we're done here on ESPN2. They're going to get that cranked up for you on the SEC network. And then we'll have it here on ESPN2 as soon as we're done in Durham. Winborn's pitch missed. The throw down to second from McCann in time. Well, they did give him ball 4, so it doesn't matter. Everybody reacting. It is ball 4.
Yeah, and that's definitely down and in.
And there was another collision there at the plate. Yeah, that's why everybody paused.
That was my first thought. I was like, that was the actual interference there, not the one on Freeman, but it didn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. It's ball 4. Runner goes. Bunted foul by Soretti.
Yeah, Mike Fox keeping the gas pedal on. I think that's a wise play. I mean, Georgia Tech can really offense. Although the look on Mike Fox's face and the meeting with Scott Forbes at third base, that screams missed sign. You got a freshman. Yeah, that's. You know what Scott Forbes is saying there? He's saying, Clay, when you go in the dugout, Coach Fox is going to yell at you. It's going to be fine. You're still our shortstop, and you're still hitting fourth from now until the end of this season. So you just say yes, sir, and we'll get on with things. That's one possible thing that was discussed.
Other possibilities?
It's our 60th game, and how come you don't know the straight steal sign?
And if you do it again, you're going to have your back in a locker.
If you do it again, we're telling Sabato that you texted his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Well, see, I love where your head's at there, Clay.
Yeah.
That's leadership right there.
Danny Ciretti at the plate. Winborn, who's had trouble with control here this inning, had in the count 2 strikes.
Well, this is the spot Winborn's here for. You just let that sinker work, and Ciretti rolls over a ground ball. You get 2 outs for 1 pitch.
Now 1-2.
But what a job Mike Fox has done when you think about it, Clay, in so many ways. So if you told Mike Fox before the year, hey, you're going to have true freshmen hitting 3rd and 4th, I think that would give Mike Fox a lot of pause. As much as he likes Ciretti and Sabato, those are big roles for true freshmen. And, you know, they did not have a good weekend against NC State a couple weekends ago and put together a very nice tournament here.
2-2. 1,470 wins overall for Mike Fox. That's including his time at North Carolina Wesleyan. Just a veteran baseball man. Talk about the legendary coaches in this league.
Jeez.
They're going to lose one, of course, with Mike Martin retiring at the end of the season. He's hoping that season can last a couple more weeks.
I don't want to put any extra pressure on the committee, Clay, but boy, that is going to be.
It would be hard to keep that team out.
And I know that hey, it's supposed to have nothing to do with that.
I know it.
That is not a criteria, is how much we like the coach.
Line drive into center and down in front of Will Height. Bases are going to be full of Carolina Tar Heels. You're right. I really think that they're going to give Florida State the benefit of the doubt because of Mike Martin. If it comes down, because there's a human element involved.
Yeah, there are human beings in there, and you know, it's a Hall of Fame coach who's one of the best people we have in the game. And you know, again, Florida State's resume is, you know, it's fine. You know, it's a bubble resume. That's what it is.
Ike Freeman is 0 for 3 with a walk and a run scored. That was the 11th hit today for North Carolina. Bases loaded, nobody out. Ground ball deep short. Coming over Waddell. He'll go to 3rd for the force, but a run scores. And it's now 7-1. North Carolina came into the day with an RPI of 14. Also on the bubble when it comes to being a regional host. In the tournament for sure, but to be a host next week on the bubble. They can wrap this one up today, and it certainly looks good. Being at home next weekend would be all but a certainty. We'll find out tomorrow.
And you know, we showed their regular season ACC record, which is 17-13, but their aggregate record, if you include 4 wins from today or from this week, assuming you pull it off today, now you're 21-13 in a very good league, Clay. That's, yeah. I mean, that's a really good metric for North Carolina. You know, the things that maybe hold North Carolina back a little bit is they were 9-4 in their weekends. They lost 4 weekends, but I just think 21 ACC wins plus the cachet of a tournament championship, that's loud.
Yesterday, North Carolina beat Boston College. The Eagles ran out of pitching, but it was a good run for BC. First time in the ACC semis. And today, it feels like they've run into a Georgia Tech team that's just reached the end when it comes to pitching. We have seen 6 guys throw today for the Yellow Jackets. And that's taking nothing away from the Carolina offense, but certainly Georgia Tech doesn't have great depth right now at this point in the week.
And you don't need this kind of depth for the postseason.
Deep fly ball, but it's going to stay in the yard. On the warning track there is Hall to make the catch. 2 down. Meanwhile, Georgia Tech, they were hoping to secure a top 8 national seed. Now they're going to have to hold their breath until tomorrow. Still a pretty good resume to be a top 8.
I mean, you finish, assuming they lose this game, you finish second in the regular season in the league and second in the tournament. And, you know, the thing that you really like about them is, they're 4-1 versus the SEC, too. Not only did they play really good in the ACC, but they were 4-1 against Auburn and Georgia this year.
Martirano uncorks to right, gone, home run. 3 more runs for North Carolina. And their 4th home run today. Seventh home run of the year for the Heels catcher. The Bulls snorting.
Yeah, Bulls looking hey, that's really impressive. You've got a right-handed sidewinder and you stay on the baseball. Your natural instinct is to pull off. That's impressive.
'68 home runs on the year for North Carolina.
I'm all in on Brandon Martirano too, by the way. He plays with some life.
You like his grit.
I just like he's verbal, like it would be tough to play lazy with him as a teammate. I mean, he's going to get you going.
7 home runs this week for North Carolina. Great power throughout the lineup. Martirano's in the 7 hole.
Yeah.
And that's his 7th home run of the year.
Again, Clay, I mean, you keep glossing over this, but the kid's clearly an Eagles fan. So, you know, I mean, he's going to have the toughness and charisma that any championship club's going to have.
I didn't respond to that comment earlier.
We'll just keep chucking it in there. How about when he pumped up Lancelotti earlier in the game in that big at bat? I love it. South Jersey in the house.
And it would take, a team of horses to pull him out of the lineup. He has caught every game except 1 this year. And that's hard to do. That is a demanding position. Injuries tend to happen. Comebacker. And Winborn flips over to first. North Carolina's done. They've got a 9-run lead going to the bottom of the 9th.
Martirano getting into it, going a little opposite field, deep sauce. North Carolina running away here.
ACC has had at least 1 College World Series team the last 13 years. 2005, the last time that the ACC did not have a College World Series team. Of course, last year it was North Carolina. And these are the projected ACC seeds for the tournament.
That's a good group right there. You think about Miami and NC State are just, by most projections, those guys are just missing being a #1 seed. And also, Clay, think about Virginia and Wake Forest are they're kind of just out type of teams.
Georgia Tech needs a pile of runs. They're not going to get one here. As Waddell flies to center. Boy, Lancelotti has been outstanding. 3 1/3 innings. He has used just 34 pitches to retire everybody has faced.
I mean, what a progression for Lancelotti. He goes from just a thrower, and he pitched in Omaha last year. And I'm telling you, Clay, the event and the adrenaline around Omaha, he was throwing 1,000,000 miles an hour. Now, wasn't nearly as educated as it is now. He's really taken that tremendous arm talent and turned it into a guy who can pitch.
Georgia Tech pinch hitter Chase Murray batting for Goldberg. Selection show is tomorrow, noon Eastern Time, ESPNU.
Let's do it.
Mike Rooney, Kyle Peterson, Matt Schick. KP is in Hoover right now, getting ready. Well, they've actually started on the SEC network. Ole Miss and Vanderbilt underway now. It'll come your way here on ESPN2 when we're done.
See that Vandy offense. Now, we talk about J.J. Bleday, but don't forget Austin Martin.
Yeah, terrific.
I mean, he's hitting .430 basically, and he'll be a first-round pick next year.
They are solid up the middle, Vanderbilt.
Yeah, like when
Catcher,
you say up the middle,
center.
you mean all 35 guys on their roster. Is that what you mean by up the middle?
They are a juggernaut. Not too many weaknesses. 2-1 to Chase Murray, the pinch hitter. He'll foul it off 2-2.
It's a glorious next month, Clay. How about one of our guys, Wes Clements' his birthday today? One of our West Coast aficionados. Great follow on Twitter too. If you like scrapping on Twitter, Wes is your guy.
You like to scrap.
Not on Twitter, but I enjoy Wes's Twitter very much. And that guy, Wes, loves college baseball. It's awesome.
Happy birthday to Wes. So when you go to Omaha, do you get to stay at KP's house? Does he have you over and
it's
stay
kind of like
in the basement?
the pool or the pond type of conversation?
The pool or the pond.
No.
Pond would be good for you.
No, I've not been invited to the Casa de Peterson. Do I need to take that personally? Maybe.
Swung on and missed. Another strikeout for Lancelotti. That's his third. And now Georgia Tech down to its last out here in Durham. And Kyle McCann will get one more plate appearance.
We got a statement that was made here today by North Carolina, Clay.
Yep, big time. If there was any doubt that they were worthy of being a host, I think this is going to secure it.
Case
that
closed.
They will be home next weekend in Chapel Hill. Do you still see Georgia Tech as a top 8?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I love their resume.
Kyle McCann 0 for 2, hit by a pitch. North Carolina looking to win the ACC championship for the first time since 2013.
Two outs, two strikes, Clay. Get ready for a month of this. We're getting that last out. Gets a little tricky. Hard to slow that heart rate down and make it happen.
Lancelotti rocks to McCann. Hit a mile. If it stays fair, it's gone. It's foul. McCann just uncorked and had his 24th of the year.
Kyle McCann can hit a baseball a very far distance.
One foul by much.
Oh, man, just foul.
The 1-2. Now 2-2.
Look at Martirano still coaching him up back there. Going over, saying, finish. Finish, big fella.
Tom Hart, Chris Burke, Kyle Peterson standing by in Hoover. SEC title game underway between Ole Miss and Vanderbilt. Mike Fox's team needs one more out to be ACC champions in 2019. High fly, right field. Tesser can't make the catch. Over his head, it lands on the outfield grass, and McCann is at second base. And what did you just say about getting that last out?
This is that time of year, Clay, where it just feels like finishing teams is harder than brain surgery. Oh gosh, that is as routine as it gets, and the high sky. And
we talked about it earlier. The sunshine here is really bright today, and you can see that there's a little bit of shadow in that picture, and then it comes back into sunshine. I don't know if that made it more difficult for Tesser.
Well, here's the real hard part. If you're Lancelotti, you got to face Tristan English now.
And he starts him with a breaking ball.
That's tough. I mean, you basically have to take your heart and tuck it back into your chest and go compete again when you thought, okay, we finished this thing and let's go.
That's going to get on a play.
And you are getting to a point here, Clay. I don't know how many more pitches Lancelotti's going to be out there for. I mean, he's about to go to 50 pitches, which is fine. I mean, he's been a reliever that they've extended in the past, but you know, it is the Sunday before regional play.
By the way, they changed it from an error to a double for McCann. McCann appreciates that, I'm sure.
Very much.
And Tesser probably does too. English back up the middle base hit. McCann being waved around, and he will score. And it's 10-2. So Tristan English, who up to now had been quiet today, 0 for 3, gets an RBI single here in the ninth.
This is a great appetizer, Clay, for the mental toughness you got to have this type of year. It's kind of one of those things you just keep winning pitches until the umpires tell you you're allowed to go home.
And we are going to get a pitching change here in the ninth. Lancelotti gets 2, but can't get that third one. Now, Joey Lancelotti wanted to be out on the field for the dog pile, and he was disappointed coming off the mound. Couldn't get that last out. Now, of course, the fielders didn't help him. He had probably should have been ruled an error in right field. Tesser couldn't make that play. But a little bit of a teaching moment as he was told to settle down, keep it in perspective. We've got an 8-run lead, and now it's Tyler Baum, who's been the Friday starter for North Carolina, trying to get that last out, Mike.
Yeah, and this would probably be his normal bullpen day, and so it's one of those things where you just throw your bullpen on the field, and I doubt we would see Tyler Baum out there for more than 25 pitches max. You really just need the one out, and you can get off your schedule a little bit with these conference tournaments because you're pitching in the middle of the week. And but Baum would probably throw game 1 of a regional for these guys.
English goes on the pitch. He's at second base now. 2 strikes to Radcliffe. 0 for 3 today with a strikeout. Baum trying to wrap this one up. Vanderbilt, Ole Miss coming up next from Hoover, Alabama, SEC title game.
Tyler Baum excited up to 96 already.
Baum looked really good in the game against Virginia, pitched into the 8th. Of course, that game was decided in extra innings. So he got a no decision, but he's 7-3 on the year. The 0-2. Ground ball. Foul. I'd like to know how many pitches have been thrown since you made that comment about getting the last out.
That felt accusatory, Mr. Matvick.
I think that was about a dozen pitches ago.
It was. Yes, it was. These 27th outs can be hard to acquire.
It's always been that way.
Yes, it has.
The 0-2. Ground ball back to Bond. He'll flip to first, and the North Carolina Tar Heels are the ACC baseball champions for 2019. Great offense, great pitching, especially the bullpen. Butler and Lancelotti combined for 6 1/3 innings of relief, allowed just 2 hits, Runes.
Very impressive tournament and game for North Carolina.
10-2 the final today. Congratulations to the Tar Heels. It's their 8th ACC tournament championship, their first since 2013. Mike Fox is pumped up. Now to Hoover, Alabama, the SEC championship, Ole Miss and Vandy.